It was our fourth wedding anniversary, and the special dinner I'd planned was missing its guest of honor, my wife, who was supposedly working late. But deep in night, scrolling through my phone, I stumbled upon a viral post. How do I get my girlfriend husband out of the picture so I can move in for good? Most of the comments were tearing the poster apart for being a homewrecker. But my heart seized. The author of the post was none other than my wife's male assistant. And the woman in the accompanying photo, her face mostly obscured but her hand in clear view, was my wife of 4 years. In a desperate bid to win her back, I'd swallowed my pride and tried to please her. But all I got in return was proof of her cheating again and again. Finally, my heart gave out. Staring at the photo in the post, I tried to convince myself I was mistaken. But the man's face, partially visible, was unmistakably Leo Carter. He was a college kid I'd sponsored, and after he graduated, I'd gotten him a job at my wife Isabella Vance's company. That was almost 6 months ago. Isabella always said he was hardworking, a good kid. But who knew this kid was secretly aiming for my wife? The ungrateful snake. Rage boiled in my blood. I was about to call Isabella when my eyes caught a detail in the photo. On Leo's shoulder rested a woman's hand. The ring on that hand was painfully familiar. Wasn't it the ring I'd had custom-made by a master artisan in Italy for our wedding? I designed it myself. There were only 2 in the entire world. My heart hammered against my ribs. I zoomed in, examining every detail, and then I saw it. A small but distinct scar on her wrist. Identical to Isabella's. She'd gotten it 2 years ago, burning herself while making me a roast. If it wasn't her, how could the location be so exact? I set the phone down, my throat tight. A wave of dread washed over me. I couldn't believe it. If Isabella was really cheating on me, how could I face her? How could our marriage, this relationship built over years, possibly continue? The more I thought, the more terrified I became. I called her. As expected, she picked up immediately. "Hey, honey, how's work going?" "Oh, Ethan, I'm exhausted," she said, her voice soft and laced with fatigue. "But it's our anniversary today. You're not mad I didn't make it home, are you?" It was our 4th anniversary. I had cooked a full meal, baked a cake from scratch, and bought her a gift, all waiting for her to get off work. But in the evening, she had called to say there was an emergency at the office, and she had to work late. "I'm so sorry, baby. I really didn't mean for this to happen. But you know how important this project is. I'll make it up to you, I promise." I've been disappointed, but I told myself her career was important, so I let it go. And now, this Instagram post from Leo. Her apology, though, did calm me a little. Maybe it was just Leo's pathetic crush. Maybe he'd photoshopped the picture to trick me. I breathed a little easier. "It's okay, honey. When you're done, I'll come pick you up." "No," she said a little too quickly. "I've still got stuff to wrap up here. You should get some rest." But just then, I heard a man's voice in the background. "Still up, beautiful? Guess I didn't wear you out enough." The line went dead. A moment later, a text came through from Isabella. "My phone died. Talk later." And then silence. I froze, a chill spreading through my entire body. That was definitely Leo's voice. But wasn't he supposed to be visiting his family out of state? How could he suddenly be at her office? His hometown was hours away. There's no way he could have gotten back that fast. My stomach dropped. I frantically grabbed my phone and checked Leo's Instagram again. He'd posted a new update. It was a location tag for a hotel. A thought flashed through my mind. Leo was posting this for me to see. Remembering his overly familiar attitude toward Isabella, I hesitated for only a moment before grabbing my car keys. The whole drive, I prayed I was just being paranoid. But as the sun came up, I watched with my own eyes as Isabella and Leo walked out of the hotel, arm in arm. Their intimacy was far beyond that of mere colleagues. The sight was a brutal slap in the face. Isabella had really spent the night with Leo. The way they held hands, it was clear this wasn't their first time. I returned home in a daze. The moment I sat down, my phone pinged. An email from an anonymous sender. It was full of them. Photos of Isabella and Leo in bed. My heart felt like it was being pierced by 1,000 needles. I scrolled through them, one by one. None of them were fake. Isabella had cheated on me. She had betrayed me. Looking at the wild, sensual woman in the photos, I squeezed my eyes shut. With me, Isabella had always been gentle, almost pure. Before we were married, she'd told me she was traditional and didn't believe in premarital sex. We'd barely even kissed more than a handful of times. It wasn't until we had the marriage certificate in hand that she finally gave herself to me. I thought she was just shy, conservative. But the wanted woman in these pictures bore no resemblance to the wife I knew. When the rage subsided, I opened my eyes, feeling hollowed out. I picked up my phone and sent a message to my boss. "Sir, I'll accept the transfer you offered me." My boss had opened a new branch overseas and needed someone to run it. I was his first choice, but I turned it down for Isabella. Now, I regretted it. I wanted to get out of here as fast as I could. I didn't want to face her, to face my failed marriage, my broken home. Not long after, Isabella came home. There were faint red marks on her neck she hadn't quite managed to cover up. "Ethan, why didn't you text me back? Are you mad at me?" she cooed. "Don't worry. I'll spend the next couple of days making it up to you." I looked at her, my face a mask of calm. "Is work all done?" Isabella burrowed into my arms, pouting playfully. "Of course. I rushed right back to you as soon as I finished, so my sweet Ethan wouldn't be angry." Her voice was still the same sweet, gentle melody. Before, when she acted like this, my heart would have melted. Now it just made me feel sick. She was sleeping with another man, keeping me in the dark, all while pretending to love me. My hands clenched into fists, my nails digging into my palms, the sharp pain keeping me grounded. When I didn't respond, Isabella wrapped her arms around my neck. "Ethan," she whispered, bringing her lips to my cheek, trying to kiss me. I instinctively turned my head away. The thought of her being so intimately entangled with Leo made my stomach turn. Isabella's face registered shock at my rejection, which quickly morphed into a wounded pout. "Did I do something to make you angry, honey? Why are you avoiding me?" Whenever she made that face, I would forget everything else and rush to comfort her, to make sure her world was perfect. But no matter what I did, she still cheated on me with Leo, the boy I'd treated like a little brother. When Leo had cried to me about how expensive rent was, I'd offered him a room in our house. We had plenty of space. I never imagined he'd wrap himself around my wife and cuckold me under my own roof. All this time he'd been living with us, I had no idea when they'd started. The more I thought, the angrier I got. But as I looked up at Isabella's expertly crafted expression of hurt, all my desire to confront her vanished. What was the point? After all these years, instead of a screaming match that would make our private hell public, it was better to just find the right moment and file for divorce. After all, Isabella and I had once been truly in love. I was an orphan, raised in a group home. From the moment I was old enough to understand, I knew nothing but bullying and scorn, which made me build walls around my heart. I never planned on having family. But then at the lowest point in my life, Isabella appeared. She helped me handle a difficult client, telling me gently that I had to keep living well. After that, I kept running into this beautiful, kind-hearted woman. Sometimes she was a company representative negotiating a deal. Sometimes we'd meet by chance at a coffee shop. She was always so serene, so perfect. After a series of these coincidences, I fell hard for her. And through my relentless efforts, we finally got together. And all the time we were together, I treated her like a queen. Isabella didn't want to have sex before marriage, and no matter how much I wanted to, I never crossed that line. I wanted our marriage to be pure, built only on mutual love. But our engagement was met with fierce opposition from her parents. Back then, not wanting to damage her relationship with her family, I suggested we break up. Isabella just held my hand tighter. "Don't you want to marry me anymore?" she asked, her gaze unwavering. "Just because I don't come from a perfect family, does that mean we don't deserve to be together?" Those words lit a fire in me. After that, Isabella was by my side as I started my own business from nothing. Her parents pressured her constantly, but she ignored them, staying with me through it all. I thought we'd never get their blessing. Until one time, on a business trip, we were in a car accident. In that split second, Isabella shoved me out of the way, saving my life at the cost of nearly losing her own. She lay in a hospital bed, comatose. The doctors even said there was a high chance she'd remain in a vegetative state. But every time I sat by her bedside and talked to her, I could feel a faint response from her body. It was only then that Isabella's parents realized just how much their daughter loved me. They finally relented and agreed to our marriage. A marriage earned through such hardship was something I cherished more than anything. I couldn't bear to disappoint the woman who loved me so much. After we were married, I never slacked for a moment. I just never imagined that only 2 years into our marriage, her heart would change, turning toward another man. "Honey, are you okay? What's taking so long to get some water?" "I'm fine." I snapped back to the present, wiping the moisture from the corner of my eye. I turned off the faucet and picked up the glass to leave the kitchen. As I turned, I accidentally knocked over some silverware on the counter. I bent down to pick it up, and the scene that greeted me made my breath catch in my throat. Under the dining table, Isabella's small, perfectly pedicured foot was gently tracing its way up Leo's calf, then higher to his knee, his thigh. He caught her foot, holding it in his hand to play with. "Can't wait, can you, beautiful?" "What? Scared?" "Scared? Just you wait. After dinner, we'll go out, and I deliberately coughed loudly. The two of them immediately stopped what they were doing. I strode back to my seat. and they acted as if nothing had happened. Isabella was still attentively placing food on my plate. Eat up, honey. You've been working so hard on your business trips lately. And Leo just looked at me with the same innocent college kid admiration. You guys are so lucky. I hope I can find a wife as amazing as Isabella someday. I couldn't help but let out a short, bitter laugh. I'm sure you will. Leo didn't seem to catch the sarcasm in my voice, continuing his flattery. No way. Isabella is the best woman in the world. I'll never have a chance. I shook my head. Oh, you definitely have a chance. Just then my phone rang. Hello, Mr. Shaw. I have a delivery for you. Could you come sign for it? Isabella shot up and beat me to the door, taking a large paper envelope from the delivery guy. Seeing the sender's address, she frowned. It's from the airport. Honey, did you buy a plane ticket? Where are you going? Why didn't I know about this? Faced with her barrage of questions, I remained calm. It's just a promotional gift for my frequent flyer miles. Isabella visibly relaxed. Oh, good. For a second, I thought you were planning on leaving me. I casually took the envelope from her hand, a faint smile on my lips. You haven't done anything to wrong me. Why would I sneak away from you? Her expression stiffened for a moment, but she forced a smile. Right, of course. I'd never do anything to betray you. Before, hearing her say something like that would have moved me deeply. Now, my heart felt nothing at all. What's the gift? Let me see. I pulled it away decisively. It's nothing, just some commemorative coins. Isabella muttered under her breath. United makes commemorative coins now. I didn't engage further, turning and heading back to our bedroom. I tore open the envelope. Inside lay a plane ticket to London for 1 week from today. The passenger's name was Evan Sterling. My new name. In 7 days, I would leave this heartbreaking place for good. Just then, Isabella's voice came from downstairs. Honey, are you not feeling well? Just tired from the trip. Didn't sleep well. I think I'll take a nap. Okay, you get some rest. I have a meeting this afternoon. I'll have Leo go with me. I answered with a flat. Oh, but I wasn't sleeping. I walked over to the second floor window and looked out. Leo had his arm around Isabella's waist. Not only did she not stop him, she even opened the passenger side door for him. He leaned down and kissed her cheek. She stood on her toes and kissed him back. Starting from his cheek, her lips slowly moved to his. I didn't see what happened next. They eagerly got into the car. All I could see was the vehicle bouncing and shaking. When it was finally over, I checked the time on my phone. 1 hour. It seemed they were quite compatible in that department. A full night of indulgence wasn't enough for them. They couldn't even wait to leave our street before they were at it again in the car. After they drove off, I started packing my things. Once I left, I wouldn't need most of this stuff. I decided to donate my clothes to charity. After packing, I went to a jewelry store. I took off the custom-made wedding ring and handed it to the clerk. The clerk took it, examined it for a moment, and smiled. Sir, this looks like a wedding ring, part of a pair. If you'd like to exchange it for a different style, could you please bring in the other one as well? Before he could finish, I shook my head and cut him off. I don't want to exchange it. I want you to melt it down. What? I said, melt it down. Right away, sir. Half an hour later, I left with a small red box. When I got home, I found the house surrounded by police cars. It looked like they were frantically searching for something. Isabella was standing in the middle of the crowd, pacing anxiously. The moment she saw me, her eyes turned red. She ran over and threw herself into my arms. Ethan, where were you? You scare me to death. She was crying so hard anyone would have thought something terrible had happened to me. A police officer stepped forward to mediate. Ms. Vance, you can relax now. Your husband is back. Our housekeeper added, Sir, when Madam came home and didn't see you and saw that you had packed your luggage, she thought you were leaving. She was so scared she called the police immediately. It's true, sir. Madam had us all out looking for you. She said if we couldn't find you, she'd fire us all. Isabella ignored the chatter around us, wiped her tears, and looked me up and down. Honey, where did you go? Why didn't you tell me? I gave her a cool look, gently pushed her away to create some distance, and then answered. I just went out for a walk. Then why wasn't your phone working? I pulled the dead phone from my pocket. Battery died, and the clothes in the house. Those are all old styles. I was planning on donating them. My smooth answers to all her questions seemed to put her at ease. She let out a long sigh of relief. Oh, thank God. You scared me so much, honey. Promise me you'll never leave me, okay? I'd honestly go crazy. And with that, the drama was over. I apologized to the police and saw them out. Isabella clung to me the entire time, never leaving my side. After I closed the door, she noticed the jewelry box in my hand. Her eyes lit up. Honey, what's that? I smiled and handed it to her. This is for you. For me? Yes. Your birthday is in a week. It's your birthday present. Isabella took it, her face glowing with surprise. Thank you, honey. Can I open it now? I shook my head. Wait until your birthday. 1 week from now, the day I would leave. The flight was in the early morning. By the time she woke up and opened this box to see the small lump of melted gold inside, I'd already be crossing the ocean. Our relationship began with this ring. So let in with this ring. For the next few days, Isabella acted as if she was afraid I would vanish. She canceled all her work appointments to stay by my side, never letting me out of her sight. We cooked together, watched movies, and took walks in the park. For a moment, I almost felt like we had gone back to the beginning of our relationship. In love, loyal, inseparable. But the constant vibration of my phone shattered that illusion. It was a stream of messages from Leo. Ethan Shaw, I actually saw you standing by the window that day. I know you saw me and Isabella in the car. But did you know we've been together since you first started sponsoring me? I don't want to be the other man forever. Speaking of which, I should thank you. You gave me the money for college. Let me see a bigger world and introduce me to a woman who truly loves me. She loves how I take care of her in bed. She can't bear to leave me. I bet you anything. Following that was a video. It was long, a full hour. Just from the runtime, I knew what it was. While Isabella was out getting boba tea, I clicked play. On the screen, Isabella's face was flushed with desire. Leo kissed her neck, whispering suggestively, "Aren't we being unfair to Ethan by doing this?" Isabella just laughed, unconcerned. Sex is sex, love is love. They can be separate. I truly love him, but I don't want to give up the pleasure you give me. So, I'm just supposed to be the other man for the rest of my life. I can give you anything you want, except the title. What if I want a child? Isabella tilted her head back, pressing his face in her chest, her voice a low, seductive moan. Then I'll give you one. I couldn't watch anymore. I shut off the video. Isabella came back with 2 boba teas. Here, honey, I got you your favorite, oolong. I took it without a word. Seeing my expression, Isabella took my hand, her face etched with concern. What's wrong? You don't look well. Are you feeling sick, honey? I pulled my hand away naturally, my voice flat. No, I just saw a disgusting video. It made me feel a little sick. If you see a video that makes you uncomfortable, just scroll past it. Don't watch it. Yeah, I said. I won't. I'll never watch it again. That evening, we went to the beach. It was crowded. Isabella linked her arm through mine. I tried to pull away a few times, but she held on tight, so I gave up. As we stood by the shore, a brilliant firework suddenly exploded in the sky. Then a second and a third. In an instant, the entire night sky was set ablaze. Wow, is some millionaire proposing? Look at all those fireworks. It's like they bought out the entire city's supply. So romantic. It's like a fairy tale. I'm so jealous. Hearing that, I couldn't help but smile faintly. Young people were so easy to fool. A fireworks show could make them believe in fairy tales, maybe even make them carelessly promise a lifetime. But I was a grown man. I wouldn't pin my emotions on something so fleeting. Isabella said sex and love could be separate. But for me, they absolutely could not. Even if she said she loved me, a betrayal was a betrayal. I could never forgive her. Honey, look. Isabella pointed to a firework that had just burst in the sky. It formed a letter. E. Then T. Ush. N. Ethan Shaw. Isabella Vance. And then a giant pink heart. Isabella tightened her grip on my arm and whispered in my ear. Honey, I swear, I will love you forever. We have to be together forever, grow old together, okay? Before I could answer, Isabella buried her head in my chest, her smile radiant. Isabella Vance loves Ethan Shaw. For this life and every life after, my heart will never change. Her voice was so loud that everyone around us heard. A round of applause erupted, mixed with the gasps and sighs of young women. Someone asked curiously, "Is this a proposal?" Isabella laughed and shook her head. We've been married for 2 years. Then, is it an anniversary? Or someone's birthday? Neither. Isabella looked at me, her gaze burning. I just wanted my husband to know that I love him very, very much. He hasn't seemed happy lately, and I want to make him happy again. Another wave of admiration rippled through the crowd. I became the object of everyone's envy. But only I knew the truth. My beloved wife had been cheating on me for 4 years. This relationship had long since turned rotten. Her hand had been held by another man, her lips kissed by another. Not to mention the countless times they had secretly been together over those 4 years. As I was lost in thought, a little girl walked up and handed me a bouquet of flowers. Mister, this is for you. I hope you and the pretty lady are happy together forever. I didn't take them. Instead, I turned to Isabella. This kid, did you arrange this too? Isabella immediately shook her head. Of course not. This little girl was probably just moved by our love. She thinks our relationship is beautiful. I smiled and pushed the flowers back toward the little girl. Thank you for the kind thought, little one, but I can't accept your gift. The girl didn't understand. She tilted her head. Why not? I didn't know how to tell her. My relationship with Isabella was not beautiful. It was filled with lies and betrayal. A toxic relationship like this shouldn't be something innocent children aspire to. It didn't deserve it. Isabella quickly intervened. It's okay, sweetie. Thank you. You should go find your parents now. The little girl nodded, then said with pure innocence, Miss, you have to have a little sister with a mister. You're so pretty. Your little sister will be pretty too. Isabella giggled and nodded. Okay, I'll definitely try. After the girl left, Isabella looked at me with a yearning expression. Honey, what do you say? Should we have a daughter? I asked her in return, do you really want a child? I actually prefer it just being the two of us, but don't all men want to have a child with the woman they love as a symbol of your love? That's Leo. I almost said his name. I really wanted to confront her, to ask her what her relationship with Leo was, to demand to know if she planned on continuing her physical relationship with him. Were the three of us supposed to coexist forever? But just as I was about to speak, I saw the faded hickey on her neck. It was from days ago, left by Leo. It still hadn't disappeared. Suddenly, I didn't want to ask anything. I silently looked away. Things had come to this. I didn't want to be like some scorned wife in a TV drama, having a public screaming match with my unfaithful spouse. I had my pride as a man. Since she couldn't change, I would. I would go to a city where no one knew me and start a new life. Isabella asked, Honey, what were you about to say? I shook my head. Nothing. I don't know what to say. Why? Don't you want to have a baby with me? No. Do you have concerns? You don't want the responsibility, or you're afraid that with a child, we won't have time for just the two of us. Let's go home. I cut her off. Are you mad? I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mean anything by it. If you don't want kids, we won't have them. We can be child-free. Just the two of us forever, okay? I paused. Was that really how it was? She wanted to be child-free with me, but she was playing with fire with Leo. That 1 hour they spent in the car. For all I knew, she could already be pregnant with a child. Honey, what's wrong with you? Isabella was about to press further when her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and answered with a hint of irritation. Didn't I tell you not to call me these next few days? I'm with my husband. The person on the other end said something, and Isabella's eyes darted around. Okay, wait for me. I'm on my way. Hanging up, she looked at me apologetically. Honey, something urgent came up at the office. Can I call you an Uber to get home? I shook my head. I can get one myself. Work is important. You should go. Okay, then I'm off. Text me when you get home so I know you're safe, okay? With that, Isabella hurried away. I immediately called for a car as well, but I didn't go home. I told the driver, follow that car. Isabella's car stopped at a hospital, and she rushed inside. Leo met her, smiling, and wrapped her in a hug. He even took off his suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Then he knelt down on one knee and pressed his ear against her flat stomach. Isabella playfully slapped his shoulder, her lips moving as she scolded him affectionately. My car was just passing by them, and because of that, I heard her words clearly. She said, the baby's only a month along. What can you hear? It's just a checkup. Why were you so nervous and made me come over? I told you everything was fine. So, Isabella was really pregnant. No wonder she seemed so anxious when she left. The driver spoke up. Sir, should we stop here too? Stop, but don't open the doors yet. I'll pay you double. The taxi pulled over on the opposite side of the street, giving me a clear view while keeping me hidden from them. I watched as Leo joyfully lifted Isabella into the air, spinning her around right there by the hospital entrance without a care in the world. Isabella, shedding her usual reserved demeanor, laughed happily, shouting, Honey, put me down. Be careful with the baby. She was already calling him honey. Leo carefully set her down. She wrapped her arms around his neck and asked, Do you want a boy or a girl? Leo hesitated, then asked back, What about you, beautiful? Me? I think I like a daughter. I met a little girl at the beach today. She was so cute. Leo immediately pouted. I saw that. The fireworks you set off for Ethan Shaw tonight. Your two names with a big heart in the middle. Isabella smiled, raising an eyebrow. What's wrong? Jealous. I want that too. All right. It's just not convenient to do it here in the city. What if Ethan saw? Then can we go to another city? As a celebration for our baby. But Ethan, you said you'd give me anything but a title. You won't even give me one fireworks show? Isabella was clearly in a good mood. She thought for a moment, then agreed. We might get spotted by the media in the States. I'll take you to Ireland for a vacation. Okay, you're the best, babe. Under the moonlight, Leo cupped Isabella's face, and they kissed passionately, oblivious to the world around them. I looked away, Driver, let's go. The car slowly pulled away. In the rearview mirror, the figures of Isabella and Leo grew smaller and smaller until they finally disappeared. Just then, my phone vibrated again. I looked down. A text from Leo. It was a picture of an ultrasound report. The words were clear. Embryo for weeks. Ethan, Isabella is pregnant with my child. The doctor says the baby is very healthy, nestled safely in her womb. It will be here in 8 months. I know that was you in the taxi that just passed. I saw you. I know you can't accept an unfaithful wife. Why don't you just bow out gracefully? I don't want my child to be born a bastard. To this, I sent a one-word reply. Okay. As I was nearing home, I got a call from Isabella. Honey, did you make it home safe? Yeah. Good, I was worried. By the way, I have to tell you something. The company needs me to go on a last-minute business trip for about 3 days. Okay, go ahead. I cut her off. Isabella was silent for a moment, then hesitated. Honey, are you angry? If you are, I won't go. I'll come home right now and be with you. In the background, I could hear a man grumbling in dissatisfaction. It had to be Leo. He wasn't about to give up his trip to Ireland so easily. I replied calmly, I'm not angry. You should go. Really? I'll only be gone for 3 days. My birthday is right after that, and I want to spend it with you. I let out a bitter laugh. We'll see. Honey, promise me you'll wait for me at home quietly. Don't go running around. If I come back and can't find you, I'll go crazy. What happened last time really scared me. I hung up before she could finish. I truly didn't understand how Isabella could say she loved me while sleeping with another man. I didn't get it, and I didn't care anymore. That night, I slept soundly. The next morning, I met with a representative from a charity I'd contacted and donated all of my packed clothes, my daily necessities, and all the gifts Isabella had ever given me. I took directly to the city incinerator. I paid the operator a handsome sum and had them all burned to ash. I hadn't gotten around to deleting Leo's number, so his messages arrived right on schedule. Ireland is beautiful. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I would have never met Isabella. I never would have had the chance to come here. He also sent a flood of pictures. All of them were of Isabella, him feeding her, them skiing together, kissing on a snow-capped peak. I didn't even bother opening the pictures. I just turned off my phone and began the final preparations for my departure. On the second day of Isabella's trip, I went to the bank. I withdrew all my money in cash and had it converted into British pounds. Finally, I closed all my bank accounts. After that, I went to the county clerk's office and finalized the paperwork, officially nullifying my identity as Ethan Shaw. That evening, I met up with a few of my closest friends for dinner. To be honest, I wasn't afraid of starting over with a new identity. I was confident in my abilities. Even with a different name, I could build a good life for myself. But these friends, I was going to miss them. Still, I didn't mention a word about my plans to leave. We just drank, sang, and had a good time, celebrating the last day of Ethan Shaw's existence. But inevitably, Leo still wouldn't leave me alone. When I got home and turned my phone on, his messages flooded in instantly. The new mom is already researching early education and baby food recipes. She's such a good wife. Ethan Shaw, thank you for giving her to me. The accompanying picture was of Isabella again. She was in her pajamas, lying in bed reading a book, a pen in her hand, highlighting something. It was clearly a book on prenatal education. I had to admit, Isabella was completely hooked. Unconsciously, Leo had started to seep in her heart. Once the body betrays, the heart is sure to follow, sooner or later. A dark, morbid curiosity struck me. I wondered what Isabella's reaction would be when she came home and found me gone. Would it be like last time, calling the police, hiring private investigators? Or would she not care, thinking I'd just gone out for a walk? Or maybe by then, her mind would only be filled with thoughts of her child and the child's father. The space she reserved for me would shrink until there was nothing left at all. I didn't want to think about it anymore. Since I had decided to leave, whether Isabella would regret, it was no longer my concern. All I knew was that I would never regret leaving her. On my last day, I slept for over 10 hours. When I woke up, I felt refreshed and full of life. Looking at myself in the mirror, a small smile touched my lips. When I left, I carried no luggage. Everything that belonged to me had been donated. All I had was a backpack. Inside was a new driver's license, a passport, a visa, and a plane ticket to London. The only thing connecting me to the identity of Ethan Shaw was the phone in my hand. I used it one last time to call a car. To the airport. As soon as I got out of the car at the terminal, I popped out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and tossed it into a nearby trash can, along with the phone itself. With that, the last possible way to track me down or contact me was gone. The boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Dear passengers, your flight is now boarding. Please proceed immediately to gate 3. I took one last look at the city behind me, then walked onto the plane without turning back. Isabella returned on her birthday. As she had planned with Ethan, she was going to celebrate with him. But as she was leaving the arrivals terminal, for some reason, on a whim, she glanced over at another boarding gate. For a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a familiar figure quickly ascending an escalator. Her heart suddenly started to race, and an indescribable sense of emptiness washed over her. She instinctively wanted to follow, but after taking just one step, Leo called out to her. He walked over with 2 boba teas, looking puzzled. "Babe, where are you going? Don't you want your tea?" "Nowhere." Seeing that her expression was a little off, Leo quickly asked with concern, "Are you not feeling well?" As he reached out to touch her forehead, she stepped back, avoiding his hand. "I said it's nothing." Isabella stood in the middle of the airport lobby, feeling lost. In the past, she always felt her life was perfect. She had a man who loved her, and a man who could satisfy her needs. But for some reason, at this moment, she felt something was wrong. As if something incredibly important was being stolen from her. Seeing her silence, Leo simply took her hand and pulled her into his arms. "You have to go back to Ethan tonight anyway. Why don't we celebrate a little first?" He whispered, his warm breath tickling her ear. Normally, Isabella would never refuse Leo's advances. But today, she felt no interest at all, only a sense of revulsion. She pushed him away forcefully. "I'm going home first." "What?" Leo was not happy. He grabbed her hand, unwilling to let go. "You're going back tonight anyway, what's the rush? Besides, aren't you celebrating with Ethan tomorrow? Today you're mine." He kept saying Ethan's name, not noticing that Isabella's face was growing darker and darker. She spun around, her gaze colder and more serious than he had ever seen. Leo was taken aback. He quickly softened his tone, speaking cautiously. "Isabella, Before he could finish, she cut him off sharply. "I'm warning you, Leo. You'd better understand your place. Ethan is the man I love most, and no one can replace him. If you dare to act out of line again, don't blame me for what happens." With that, she turned and left, leaving Leo standing alone in a daze. Isabella rushed home as fast as she could. But when she arrived, the living room was empty except for the busy housekeepers. "Where is he?" Faced with her question, the staff looked at each other in confusion, then all shook their heads. Isabella gritted her teeth in frustration. "Are your eyes just for decoration? A grown man disappears, and none of you even notice?" She didn't have time to scold them. She rushed back to the bedroom. The room was as neat as ever, but no matter how hard she looked, she couldn't find any sign of Ethan. Her frustration grew, her emotions becoming more and more agitated. She grabbed the head housekeeper. "Where is he?" The housekeeper stammered for a long time, unable to get a single word out. Furious, Isabella shoved him aside and began searching the entire villa. But with every room she checked, her hope dwindled. The house was empty. There was no trace of Ethan. Amidst her confusion, a powerful sense of loss washed over her. Since they had gotten married, Ethan's life had essentially revolved around her. He had even lost touch with most of his old friends. She searched the bedroom again, and finally, she found a letter. The handwriting was clearly Ethan's. This only made her more confused. They had been together for so many years. What couldn't they say to each other face to face? Puzzled, Isabella opened the letter. She looked at it once and froze. It contained only one sentence. "I know everything. I'm out. Goodbye." Just one sentence, and it seemed to draw a final line under their years of love. Isabella held the piece of paper, turning it over and over. After a long moment, she finally came to her senses, jumped up, and began searching the villa again. She thought Ethan was just playing a joke, trying to scare her. But no matter how hard she looked, she couldn't find a single clue. A few pieces of clothing were missing from his closet, but most of his things were still there. His suitcase was untouched. A person who was leaving for good wouldn't leave with nothing, right? She ran up to the rooftop terrace. Still no sign of Ethan. She collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. Ethan. She finally understood. Ethan wasn't playing a game. He wasn't trying to scare her. He had really left. Just like his letters said. No, this can't be happening. She stood up, pulled out her phone, and started calling Ethan's friends. But when she asked about him, they were just confused. "You're looking for him. Why are you calling me? You're his wife. Don't you know where he is?" Isabella stammered. He's missing. Do you know where he went?" "No idea." The person on the other end hung up, clearly not wanting to waste any more time on her. After they got married, her life and his had never really merged. Now she didn't even know who Ethan's friends were. She called a few more people, and finally An old classmate of his spoke bluntly. He's gone. The first thing you should be doing is taking a good long look at yourself, don't you think? Isabella was stunned. What? What do you mean? You know what I mean? Everyone knows about your little mess. Did you really think Ethan was an idiot? With that, the classmate hung up. Isabella was dumbfounded. If even his old classmates knew, then Ethan must have known everything. Did he really know about her and Leo? The fear in her heart grew stronger. No wonder Ethan had left so decisively. No wonder he hadn't taken anything with him. He was truly disappointed. He had truly left. The thought terrified her. She tried to contact Ethan, but his phone number and social media had all blocked her. After thinking it over, she started transferring money to Ethan's bank account, writing his whereabouts in the memo line. However, after just 2 transfers, she got a call from the bank's customer service. Ms. Vance, the bank account you were transferring to has been closed. The transaction cannot be completed. Your funds will be returned within 2 hours. Closed? Isabella quickly cut the representative off. Is there any way you can contact the original account holder? The answer, of course, was no. She started trying every possible way to find Ethan's old accounts. But no matter what she did, it was as if he had never existed. It was clear that Ethan had not only closed his bank accounts, but had also deleted all his social media profiles. An unprecedented wave of despair washed over Isabella. Ethan hadn't just left. He wanted to erase all memory of their life together. She refused to accept it. She contacted the social media platform's customer service, trying to restore his account data. But she was flatly refused. I'm sorry, ma'am. Account data is private. Only the account holder can reverse a deletion request. I'm his wife. Can't I do it? You think I won't sue you? He's run away from home. If anything happens to him, I'll sue you until you're bankrupt. Isabella started making threats in her rage. But the customer service representative was unmoved. You are free to do as you wish. When we receive a subpoena from the court, we will cooperate with the police investigation. With no other choice, Isabella had to spend a large sum of money to hire someone to try and recover the data. As they say, money makes the world go round. The data was indeed recovered. But what she found broke her heart. Ethan wasn't one to share his life on social media. The few posts he had were just announcing their relationship and their wedding photos. But at some point, his profile had gone completely silent. Until 3 days ago, when he posted 3 simple words. It's over. Looking at those 3 words, Isabella felt a pain like a knife twisting in her gut. So, Ethan had known all along. He had given her so much time, so many chances. But she hadn't taken a single one. Ethan was gone. Isabella shut herself in her room. She ignored the calls from Leo, the messages from her friends. She just curled up on the bed, trying to feel any lingering trace of Ethan's presence. But no matter how hard she tried, the room was empty of him. Ethan had truly vanished from her world. Isabella lay in bed, tossing and turning. Sometime after midnight, she received a birthday notification from a social media app. Suddenly, she remembered the gift box. The birthday present Ethan had prepared for her. She shot up, found the box, and opened it carefully. She thought it might be Ethan's way of offering an olive branch. However, the moment she opened it, her fantasy was shattered. Inside was the melted ring. Isabella recognized it. It was her wedding ring. She broke down, her sorrow turning to rage. How dare he leave without a word? She drove to the police station in the middle of the night, reporting that her husband had disappeared. When questioned by the police, Isabella insisted, with complete conviction, that their relationship meant the world to Ethan. He would never abandon it. The police began their investigation immediately, but by morning, they had found no trace of Ethan. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Isabella's eyes were bloodshot. She refused to leave until a man identifying himself as a lawyer called. He said he was entrusted by Mr. Ethan Shaw with an urgent matter that needed to be discussed in person. Only then did she leave the police station and head straight for the law firm. On the way, she ran countless red lights and nearly hit a pedestrian. At the law office, she found the lawyer who had called her. Where is he? The lawyer handed her a set of divorce papers. Mr. Shaw has already signed. If you have no objections, please sign here. Isabella ignored him, searching the office. But the space was small. There was nowhere to hide anyone. I don't have time for this. Let me see my husband. Even if we're getting a divorce, he has to tell me to my face. She screamed at the lawyer like a madwoman, but he maintained his professional smile. When she finally paused to catch her breath, the lawyer spoke slowly. Ms. Vance, Mr. Shaw has entrusted me with all matters related to the divorce. You can only negotiate with me. And I must remind you, you are the at-fault party in this marriage. The fact that Mr. Shaw is not demanding you leave with nothing is, frankly, an act of mercy. His only wish is that you no longer disturb his life. Isabella gasped for air, her face a mask of disbelief. "You didn't leave any other message for me?" "No." The lawyer's answer was firm. Isabella gritted her teeth, took the divorce papers, and tore them to shreds. "I have something to say. I don't agree to this divorce. It's impossible." The lawyer, as if expecting this, simply took another copy of the agreement from a folder on his desk. "As per Mr. Shaw's instructions, I have printed several dozen copies. You can tear up as many as you like." Isabella sank to the floor, defeated. "Tell me where he went. I can give you money." The lawyer just smiled. 10 million. 30 million. The lawyer sighed. "Ms. Vance, you don't need to keep raising the offer. I truly do not know where Mr. Shaw has gone. You'd be better off using this time to sign the papers." Isabella slapped the pen out of his hand. "I'm not signing. Not unless he stands in front of me and tells me himself that he wants a divorce." Isabella stormed out of the office. She began her search for Ethan with even more frantic obsession. Finally, in the airport's security footage, she found a lead. On the other side of the world, the plane landed. It was dusk. The sunset was beautiful, painting the sky in dreamlike colors. As I walked out of the terminal, I immediately saw a young woman holding up a wooden sign with my name on it. "Hello, are you Evan Sterling? I was sent by the company to pick you up." The girl, dressed in athletic wear, had a bright, lively smile. Her crescent-shaped eyes sparkled, making her instantly approachable. "Thanks for coming. And please just call me Evan." I nodded and offered her a small smile. Okay, Evan. I'm Chloe Bennett. I'll be your executive assistant from now on. It's great to meet you." Chloe extended her hand. Her straightforward manner made me feel a bit awkward. "Let's skip the handshake. How about we go get something to eat instead?" I didn't take her hand, deftly sidestepping the moment. Chloe stuck out her tongue playfully, not seeming to mind. "Of course. I'm not going to be polite with you on that." Over dinner, we talked a lot about the new branch and my future responsibilities. She was a great conversationalist and remarkably competent, which made it easy to get along with her. In the following days, I dove headfirst into my work, trying to integrate with the team as quickly as possible. Even though we were all part of the same company, we had never worked together before, so there were details to iron out. Fortunately, my new colleagues were all friendly, and I wasn't lacking in ability, so the team quickly found its rhythm. My quiet nature and lack of airs made me a welcome addition. Occasionally, after work, they would organize group dinners and even invite me to their homes. Chloe was almost always there. She was a lively, energetic girl who always brought a sense of fun, so everyone liked having her around. During this time, our relationship also grew closer. However, I gradually realized that Chloe's identity might not be as simple as it seemed. Not only did she share the same last name as the big boss, but the deferential way the other employees treated her also gave me a clue. And perhaps because of our work, Chloe was always around me. Sometimes she would even suggest we have lunch or go home together. Our increasingly frequent interactions led to some gossip around the office. Colleagues would jokingly ask about our relationship. I tried to explain, but the knowing smirks in their eyes told me they didn't believe me. While there was no malicious intent, it started to make me feel uncomfortable. Because of this, I began to consciously keep my distance from Chloe. After a while, Chloe noticed the change. One day after work, she cornered me at the office door. "Evan Sterling, why are you avoiding me?" My gaze flickered away, unable to meet hers. "Ms. Bennett, you've misunderstood. Don't call me Ms. Bennett. Call me Chloe." She stomped her foot, her face a mask of displeasure. I was suddenly at a loss for words. The atmosphere became awkward. It wasn't until the sharp ring of my phone broke the silence that I breathed a sigh of relief. Without even looking at the caller ID, I answered. "Ethan, I'm at your company. Where are you?" I froze. "My company?" I frowned. How did she find my new phone number and my new identity? Chloe looked at me, puzzled. "What's wrong?" On the other end of the line, Isabella heard a woman's voice, and her tone immediately sharpened. "Ethan, who are you with?" I took a deep breath. "Who I'm with is none of your business. We're divorced." With that, I hung up. Chloe's eyes widened in shock. "You're divorced?" "Yeah." I nodded, seeing no reason to hide it. As you can see, I'm a failure when it comes to relationships. I'm not worth liking. But Chloe didn't seem put off at all. Instead, her expression softened with sympathy. She reached out and took my hand. "Don't say that. I think you're wonderful. It's that woman who doesn't know how to cherish you." As we were talking, a commotion started outside the office. "Ethan Shaw, come out and see me." Hearing that familiar voice, I frowned and quickly walked out of my office. I immediately saw Isabella, causing a scene in the lobby. Security guards were standing beside her, looking distressed, trying to stop her. "Ma'am, you really can't go in. If you continue, I'll have to call the police." "Go ahead. I'm here to find my husband. On what grounds can you call the police?" Isabella was acting like a madwoman. Luckily, most people had already left for the day, so not many witnessed the spectacle. As I stepped out, Isabella spotted me. Seeing the pretty young woman standing next to me, the smile on her face vanished, replaced by a cold glare as she strode towards us. "Have you had your fun? Come home with me." She grabbed my arm. I frowned and shook her off. "What exactly do you want?" "What do I want? I should be asking you that. You leave without a word, throw divorce papers at me. What the hell are you trying to do? You're coming back with me right now, or you'll regret it." Just then, Chloe suddenly stepped between us. "Who are you, ma'am?" "Ma'am?" Isabella's eyes widened, rage flaring. "Who are you?" "Who I am is none of your business. You're the one who came to our company to cause a scene. I should be asking you who you are." The two women stared each other down, the tension thick in the air. "Ethan, come home with me," Isabella said, her gaze skipping over Chloe, her tone demanding and impatient. "He's the project manager of our company. Why should he go with you?" Chloe shot back. "And besides, his name isn't Ethan. It's Evan Sterling." Isabella looked at Chloe, who was challenging her at every turn, her face as cold as iron. "I don't care what his name is, he's my husband. If he doesn't go with me, is he supposed to go with you?" Chloe stood tall, not backing down an inch. "All I know is Evan doesn't want to go with you." "Evan?" Isabella gritted her teeth. She didn't know when Ethan had changed his name, but the familiar way Chloe said it made her extremely uncomfortable. Fine. Ethan Shaw, you've made your point. You'd better not regret this." Isabella turned and stormed off. After she left, I turned to Chloe apologetically. "I'm sorry. I've caused you trouble again. I'll buy you dinner sometime." "It's fine, no trouble at all." Chloe shook her head dismissively. "I just can't stand that woman's arrogance. Come on, I'm heading your way anyway. I'll give you a ride." As we were heading downstairs, Isabella was still waiting outside. When she saw me laughing and talking with Chloe, her eyes turned red with rage. "Ethan Shaw, don't you forget, I'm still your wife." Before I could say anything, Chloe, like a little firecracker, stepped forward and said bluntly, "Weren't you getting a divorce? You're not his wife anymore." Isabella grew even more furious. Chloe's words and actions all seemed to imply that there was something between us. As long as I don't sign, he can forget about getting a divorce. I sighed. "Isabella, what's the point of all this?" With that, I politely declined Chloe's offer of a ride and took a car home by myself. However, I had clearly underestimated Isabella's persistence. She had somehow found out where I was living now. That night, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it and saw Isabella standing there, I was filled with a mixture of helplessness and annoyance. "What do you want?" I felt like I had made myself perfectly clear. I was done with this rotten marriage. There was no need to torture each other anymore. But Isabella ignored me. The moment I opened the door, she pushed past me and started walking around the apartment. After confirming that there were no signs of anyone else living there, she finally relaxed, crossed her arms, and spoke with an impatient tone. "You've had your little tantrum, haven't you? Running away from home, changing your name, closing your bank accounts. Now that you've gotten it out of your system, come home with me immediately. I can forgive you for everything you've done these past few days." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. For the first time, I was truly struck by how arrogant Isabella was. "Isabella, do you really think I don't know about you and Leo? Do you think I filed for divorce because I was bored and wanted to play a joke on you? We had years together. I just didn't want to make things ugly, so I chose to leave quietly. Can't you have a little self-respect? Do you have to drag this out until it's a public spectacle, until it's impossible for anyone to walk away clean? Is that what will finally satisfy you?" Isabella's face darkened, but she still explained coldly. "How many times do I have to tell you? You were the one who chose to sponsor him. I was just helping you out. Besides, I've always seen him as a little brother." I snorted. "A little brother? Do you sleep in the same bed with your brother? Do you sleep together?" "Isabella, since you came all this way to find me, you must have seen everything, right? What's the point in deceiving yourself anymore?" Her actions, her words, all of it just proved one thing to me. This arrogant, clueless woman standing before me was no longer the young girl who had once chosen me so resolutely. She was now a glamorous, successful, powerful woman. It was inevitable that some young man would be drawn to her. But whether it was when we were dating or when we had just gotten married, I never imagined that one day Isabella would actually choose to betray me, to betray our marriage. "That's enough, Isabella. I don't want to argue with you. I'm not Ethan Shaw anymore. My name is Evan Sterling. Please don't show up in front of me again." My voice was calm. Your constant pestering just makes me sick. Isabella's face grew even darker. Before she came, she probably thought that all she had to do was apologize, and I would forgive her. But now, after everything that had happened, and with the tone of my voice, she was realizing that it wasn't going to be that easy. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine, filled with impatience. So, I had a little fun with the younger guy. Do you have to be so dramatic about it? Her words made me feel nauseous. Just having her stand in front of me was physically repulsive. Get out, Isabella. If you force me to throw up on you, it won't be pretty for either of us. I made no attempt to hide the disgust in my voice. A clear flicker of anger crossed Isabella's face, but when she saw the contempt in my eyes, she grew nervous. It was just a fling with another guy. Why are you taking it so seriously? And what about you and that little girl? Shut up. I snapped, cut her off. Isabella, if you dare to spew your filthy lies and slander my relationship with her, don't blame me for taking you to court. Isabella's chest heaved with anger. She couldn't understand it. Before, I would never have even raised my voice at her, let alone chew her out. But now, I was using such disgusting words to humiliate her. She finally realized that some things had truly changed. Isabella reigned in her anger. Fine, I won't say any more. Calm down. I'll come back and see you tomorrow. Don't bother. I smiled coldly. You should focus on your dear Leo. Isabella gritted her teeth and finally turned and left in a huff. The weekend arrived, and I got an invitation from Chloe. It's a beautiful weekend. Want to go shopping? My first instinct was to refuse. But Chloe's next sentence made me hesitate. Aren't you afraid your ex will keep harassing you? You're not actually thinking of getting back together with her, are you? Getting back together? Absolutely not. Without a moment's hesitation, I agreed. Send me the address. I met Chloe outside the designated shopping mall. Unlike her usual work attire, she was dressed in a preppy, schoolgirl-style pleated skirt, looking playful and full of youthful energy. When she saw me, she jumped up and waved. Evan, over here. Her vibrant energy attracted the attention of many men around us. I had to admit, Chloe was very beautiful. She seemed to be able to pull off any style. Whether it was the mature, professional woman at work or the playful schoolgirl on the weekend, she handled it all with ease. It was as if fate had blessed her with all the best qualities. At the office, new young recruits often expressed their admiration for her, but without exception, she turned them all down. She could be warm and friendly, yet she kept everyone at a distance. Let's go. I'm on a mission to shop till I drop today. As soon as we met, Chloe grabbed my arm and urged me on. I smiled wryly. Every man knows that shopping with a woman is a true test of endurance. That's why I usually just buy whatever I need online. So, do we have a specific destination in mind? Chloe stuck out her tongue. Come on, have you ever been shopping with a girl before? You don't make a plan for shopping. I don't care. Our motto for today is shop till we drop. I was still hesitating, but Chloe just took my hand. Let's go. Just as we reached the entrance of the mall, a furious shriek came from behind us. Ethan Shaw. I stopped in my tracks. Turning around, I saw Isabella storming towards us. Ethan Shaw, don't you forget, we're not divorced yet. Isabella's eyes were fixed on my hand, intertwined with Chloe's. Shamelessly holding hands with another woman in broad daylight. Have you no decency? Her sudden accusation made the people around us turn and stare at me. A surge of anger rose within me. Isabella, what right do you have to question me? Chloe, standing beside me, nodded emphatically. Exactly. At least we're out in the open, unlike some people who want to be a whore and still act like a saint. Isabella ignored her sarcastic remark. Her eyes locked on me. So, you're so insistent on divorcing me because of this woman? Her words made my brow furrow, and my expression darkened. Isabella, do you think everyone is as sordid as you are? You know damn well why I want a divorce. Isabella was unfazed. Instead, she sneered, so what? I've already apologized to you, but you still insist on a divorce. You secretly transferred jobs behind my back. It was all for this woman, wasn't it? Ethan Shaw, you're the one who betrayed this relationship. I couldn't help but sigh internally. For 4 years, I had done everything I could for this relationship. I had tried my best to mend our broken marriage. And what I got in return was this baseless accusation. It was because I had spoiled her too much that she had become so reckless. Isabella, don't you think this is ridiculous? I didn't bother to hide the weariness in my eyes. Between the two of us, who really betrayed this marriage? I don't care about any of that. As long as we're not divorced, you're not allowed to be involved with any other woman. Isabella stepped forward, trying to grab my hand. I took a step back, avoiding her touch, my voice cold. That's enough. I've told you, I don't want anything more to do with you. Before I could finish, a familiar voice sounded from behind her. Isabella. Leo came running up from behind, casually draping his arm over Isabella's shoulder, then shot me a provocative smile. Well, if it isn't Ethan. Long time no see. You're looking a little rough around the edges. Hearing his triumphant tone, and seeing how close the two of them were, I just felt a deep sense of irony. Isabella, think about what you just said. Don't you feel like a hypocrite? Isabella gently pushed Leo away. Hearing my words, she looked annoyed. I just brought him along to help him get used to the work environment here. So, I scoffed. What are you trying to prove with that? Are you trying to tell me that you have nothing to do with this man? Or that you too are innocent? No matter what Isabella said, one fact remained unchanged. She had cheated. He and I. You don't need to explain to me. Whatever is going on between you and this boy toy is none of my business. That's your freedom. With that, I took Chloe's hand and started to leave. Ethan Shaw. Isabella chased after us. Chloe glanced back, then pulled me into the mall. We weaved through the corridors and ran out another exit on the other side. I thought we had shaken her, but Isabella's persistence was beyond imagination. I soon noticed her and Leo following us. Growing more annoyed, I just stopped and waited for them to catch up. Ethan Shaw, how long are you going to keep this up? Isabella caught up, her eyes filled with displeasure. Fine, I'll apologize to you. Is that what you want? It was rare for her to back down. But even her apology was filled with insincerity. And yet, in all the years we had been together, Isabella had never once been willing to even pretend to be sorry. Isabella, what's the point? You know what you did? If I had done something like that with another woman, ask yourself, could you accept it? Before Isabella could answer, Leo grabbed her hand. Ethan, man, you don't have to make things so ugly over me. What Isabella needs is a man who can take care of the house, and a companion to soothe her emotions. If you really love her, you shouldn't put her in a difficult position. Take care of things at home, and leave the rest to me, okay? A life with 3 people could be really happy, don't you think? What kind of ridiculous logic was that? I shook my head, speechless. But before he could say more, Isabella snatched her hand away from Leo. What kind of bullshit are you talking? Isabella's face was grim, her voice uncharacteristically sharp. Leo, you're a grown man. You should know what you can and can't say. Don't you have any sense? Leo's face stiffened. In all the time they had been together, Isabella had always been endlessly tolerant and indulgent with him. She had never even raised her voice at him, let alone scolded him. Leo immediately put on a pitiful expression. This was his usual trick. Every time he acted pitiful, Isabella would immediately soften. But this time, he had miscalculated. Isabella didn't even look at him, her eyes filled with impatience. Get lost. Don't interrupt me while I'm talking to my husband. Leo took a step back, not daring to say another word. Isabella looked at me, her tone uncharacteristically pleading. Ethan, come back with me. She moved closer, her expression softening. Leo's face grew even darker, his gaze towards me filled with a hint of venom. I remained completely unfazed. I had always known that Leo was no saint. He had provoked me more than once in the past. I had always chosen to endure it, but even a saint has his limits. I can go back with you. But what about him? Isabella was taken aback. She subconsciously glanced at Leo. He immediately wiped the venom from his face and put on the expression of a sad puppy. He was indeed handsome, and his acting skills were top-notch. A flicker of pity crossed Isabella's eyes. I shook my head and sneered, my voice dripping with sarcasm. TSK, TSK, TSK. Leo, with acting skills like yours, it's a real shame you're not in Hollywood. Isabella's face darkened. After a moment of hesitation, she turned to Leo and commanded, Leo, apologize to Ethan right now. Leo's face showed shock and resentment. Why should I? There is no why. Just do as I say and apologize. Isabella's tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. Leo's eyes reddened, as if he was about to burst into tears. Don't you like me anymore? The coldness on Isabella's face thawed slightly. Watching their melodramatic performance, I felt a wave of nausea. I turned and walked away. Isabella saw me leaving and hurried after me. Just then, Chloe, who had been standing by all this time, suddenly blocked her path. Get out of my way. Isabella's face was grim. Why should I? Chloe shot back without hesitation. I turned around, looking at the 2 women facing off, and couldn't help but rub my forehead. Let's go. There's no need to waste time on people like this. Chloe nodded obediently, bounced over to my side, linked her arm through mine, and we headed back into the mall. Isabella followed us relentlessly. Leo gritted his teeth and jogged to catch up. I was getting more and more annoyed. My rare good mood on a weekend was being ruined by 2 outsiders. Evan, just ignore them. Chloe gently tugged on my sleeve. Hearing her, I forced a smile. Okay, I will. Isabella, walking behind us, saw this and gritted her teeth in anger. She quickened her pace, pushed Chloe aside, and confronted me. Ethan Shaw, have you had enough? I admit I was wrong in the past. Come home with me, and I can break things off completely with Leo. Her words surprised me. Didn't she like Leo? My decision to leave should have been exactly what she wanted. Why was she saying this now? And from the look on her face, she didn't seem to be joking. But I didn't care anymore. Even if Isabella cut off all contact with Leo, so what? Could a broken mirror ever be made whole again? Hearing Isabella's words, Leo's face turned pale. You're serious? Isabella didn't look back, her eyes fixed on me. Seeing this, the grief in Leo's eyes turned to venom. He rushed forward, wrapped his arms around Isabella, and cried out in anguish. Why? I've been with you for 4 years. And now you're just going to throw me away? What do you take me for? A piece of trash to be used and discarded? I couldn't help but laugh at myself. The thought of the person I loved sharing a bed with another man for so long made me feel sick. Shut up. Isabella, furious and embarrassed, struggled free and slapped Leo hard across the face. Leo was stunned by the slap, standing there in disbelief. You hit me. I've been by your side for 4 years. Even if I haven't earned any credit, I've put in the effort. His emotions escalated, his eyes bloodshot. Isabella, you'd better give me an explanation. Isabella's face was cold, her voice laced with a threat. Leo, I'm warning you one last time. Know your place. If you dare to bring this up again, don't blame me for getting nasty. Watching the drama unfold, I wasn't surprised at all. Yes, Leo was young, energetic, and knew how to please a woman. But his mistake was not understanding Isabella. Isabella might have liked him, but for the most part, she just liked how obedient he was. Even his occasional tantrums were, in her eyes, just a way to spice things up. But once he crossed her line and made her unhappy, she wouldn't tolerate it. And I could understand why Leo was so angry. His attachment to Isabella wasn't just physical. On a deeper level, Isabella provided him with a lavish lifestyle. She was his sugar mama, his biggest supporter. Losing her meant losing everything he had now. So, he would do whatever it took to hold on to her. But when he met Isabella's icy gaze, he faltered. After a moment of hesitation, Leo turned his attention to me. Ethan Shaw, since you don't love Isabella anymore, why can't you just let me have her? What? Is it fun to play both sides? Since you already have a new girlfriend, why are you still clinging to her? I had to admit, Leo was clever. In just a few sentences, he had successfully shifted the blame. He was seemingly complaining about me, but in reality, he was trying to tarnish my name. As expected, Isabella's expression immediately soured. I sneered, not holding back. Leo, are you spouting nonsense with your eyes wide open? It's your dear Isabella who refuses to get a divorce, not me trying to fight you for her. What makes you think I would fight you for a woman who cheated on me? Isabella's face turned grim, but Chloe's eyes crinkled with laughter. Exactly. Chloe bounced over to my side. Let's go, Evan. She's just a worn-out shoe. Don't waste your time. She deliberately emphasized the words worn-out shoe. Isabella's face grew even darker. She wanted to chase after us, but Leo held her back. You can't leave. Isabella stared at him coldly. Leo, are you trying to make me angry? Leo gritted his teeth, not backing down. If you don't give me a reasonable explanation today, I'm not leaving. They argued for a long time, but in the end, Leo left. Deep down, he didn't dare to completely break things off with Isabella. After all, he was just her boy toy. In the following days, Isabella seemed to have more free time. Every morning, she would come to my office to bring me breakfast. She would do it in the name of a loving wife, bringing me a homemade lunchbox. And every day when we got off work, she would be waiting downstairs with a bouquet of flowers, which she would personally hand to me. A woman chasing a man, and a beautiful one at that. It was like something out of a movie. This led to a lot of teasing from my colleagues, and all sorts of rumors started to spread. Some even said that I already had a wife, but was still involved with Chloe, making me a total scumbag. Others speculated that I was being pursued by 2 women at the same time. But no matter what they said, it all annoyed me. So, the next time Isabella appeared downstairs, I walked up to her. Isabella's face lit up with joy, tinged with a hint of pride. What? Change your mind. Isabella, let's find a time to get the divorce finalized. My expression was cold. I had no lingering feelings for this marriage. After 4 years, I was tired. Whether it was because of Isabella's cheating or her relentless harassment now, it all left me exhausted. As the old saying goes, once a cheater, always a cheater. I was not going back. Isabella was stunned, her eyes slowly welling up. You, Ethan, are you really this heartless? After all these years together, can you really just let go like this? I scoffed and shook my head. Isabella, if you had paid even the slightest bit of attention to me in our marriage over the past 4 years, you wouldn't be saying this. I had given Isabella countless chances to turn back, but she never cherished any of them. So, stop harassing me. It only makes me despise you more. You're not just anyone anymore. You're a company leader. You should know what kind of impact this will have if it gets out of hand. I made no attempt to hide the threat in my words. Isabella's face turned pale. She couldn't believe that the man who had once treated her like the apple of his eye would now threaten her just to get a divorce. Ethan, when did you become so cruel? Isabella's face was etched with pain. I said nothing. Who, after being betrayed for 4 years, could remain unchanged? I had tried. I truly had. But reality had slapped me hard in the face. Sticking to my principles was just a sophisticated form of self-deception. I had remained true, but it hadn't changed a thing. The person I loved had still changed. Isabella, I asked calmly. At this point, what right do you have to question me? She fell silent, tears glistening in her eyes. After a long moment, she looked up, her voice hoarse. Then, can you give me some time? I just can't accept it right now. I think, even if it's over, we should end it properly, not so hastily. Can we do that? I knew that if I refused now, I would only face more of her endless harassment. So, I reluctantly agreed. And so, Isabella resumed her previous routine, bringing me food, flowers, all kinds of gifts. Every day at work, my desk was piled high with bouquets and presents. It was impossible not to attract attention. Naturally, this led to more gossip among my colleagues. Some even thought that Chloe was the one sending them. I had to quickly clear things up. No, they must have been delivered to the wrong person. The wrong person? Who makes the same mistake every single day? Of course, they didn't believe me. I didn't explain further. Instead, right in front of everyone, I threw the flowers and gifts into the trash. You're just going to throw them away? What a waste. Chloe had appeared behind me, her voice tinged with sarcasm. I shrugged. If it doesn't belong to me, it should be thrown away. Chloe wrinkled her nose. You really don't know how to appreciate things. With that, she turned and stormed off. This scene, of course, only confirmed our relationship in the eyes of our colleagues. Faced with their knowing glances, all I could do was smile wryly. But to be honest, I was confused too. I had figured out Chloe's background. She was the big boss's only daughter, but she never seemed to care much about work and even less about dating. Her father was so worried he couldn't sleep at night. But Chloe's personality was so quirky and free-spirited that her father couldn't control her. He had even started to wonder if his daughter had some issues with her sexual orientation. Until I came along, all I could do was shake my head. I couldn't bring myself to believe that a girl like Chloe, perfect looks, perfect figure, and from a wealthy family, would actually be interested in me. Everyone, let's not joke around about a young lady like that. It could affect her life. So you're afraid I'll affect her life? Chloe had returned at some point, her voice coming from behind me. I turned around, speaking with a sense of helplessness. You know that's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Chloe was being surprisingly aggressive. I stammered for a moment. After all, being caught talking about someone behind their back is awkward for anyone. We were just chatting. Don't get the wrong idea. Chloe gave me a strange look, but thankfully, she didn't press the issue. Just as I was about to make an excuse to leave, Chloe spoke again, her voice low. Those flowers and gifts today, they were from me. I froze. They were from you. Yeah. I scratched my head awkwardly. I really didn't know. I'm sorry. It's okay. Chloe's eyes sparkled with a playful smile. Just remember not to throw them away next time. And I'll have security keep an eye out for that other woman. If you need anything, you can tell me. I have plenty of ways to make her stop bothering you. I didn't doubt her words. After all, her father was a big name in the industry. As his daughter, she was not to be trifled with. However, I politely declined her offer. My relationship with her at the office was already ambiguous. If it went any further, it would be difficult to untangle. I didn't want people to think I was involved with the boss's daughter. I had gotten to where I am today through my own hard work, not by pulling strings. After work, Isabella appeared again. She was relentless. I was getting impatient. What do you want? Are you that bored? Don't you have anything better to do? I didn't hide the disgust in my eyes. Isabella's eyes immediately reddened, her voice hoarse. I just want to try to make things right. There's no need. I frowned. But Isabella shook her head desperately. No, there is. I don't want our relationship to end like this. Give me 10 days. After 10 days, if you still want a divorce, I'll agree. As long as I could get a divorce, I would do anything. That was the only thought in my mind. Fine, do whatever you want. With that, I turned to leave, but Isabella suddenly ran up and grabbed my wrist. Let's have dinner together. I frowned. Ever since I had decided on a divorce, I found Isabella's actions more and more repulsive. Just being alone with her made me uncomfortable. I'd rather not. I shook her arm off, my voice full of impatience. A look of hurt crossed Isabella's face. I just want to sit down and talk with you. Please just agree, okay? In the past, I couldn't bear to see her look sad. But now, all she saw in my eyes was coldness. Please. Isabella's eyes pleaded. If you just agree to this, I'll sign the divorce papers as promised. I sighed. Let's go. I told myself that this was all just to get the divorce over with as quickly as possible. With a hopeful look in her eyes, I got into her car. Isabella didn't drive to a restaurant. Instead, she went to a supermarket. Let's go grocery shopping together. She pushed a shopping cart towards me. I just looked down at my phone, saying nothing. Isabella didn't seem to mind. She pushed the cart ahead of me, looking at the dazzling array of products, and spoke softly. I still remember when we first got married, I had stomach problems. You would always make time to go to the supermarket and buy groceries to cook for me. Her voice choked up as she spoke. So it had been that long. So, she had really let go of a man who had loved her so much. I didn't answer. I felt nothing. If anything, I just felt it wasn't worth it. I had wasted 4 years on a woman like this. How many 4 years does a person get in life? Isabella bought a lot of groceries. I noticed that many of them were my favorites. So, it wasn't that Isabella didn't know me. She just didn't care. At the checkout, Isabella looked at the bill and muttered, I didn't realize the price of beef had gone up so much. Do you usually buy your own beef? Her intention was probably to make small talk, to lighten the mood. But I just said flatly, I left with nothing, so I don't have much money to waste. Isabella's expression stiffened, and she fell silent. It wasn't until we were in the car that she spoke softly. You really don't have to do that. My income is much higher than yours. I can. Don't. I cut her off. Just sign the papers as soon as possible, and I'll be grateful. I just want to get this divorce over with. I didn't want to waste any more time on legal battles. That's why I was cooperating with her, and that was it. Isabella fell silent again, seeming to want to avoid the issue. When we got home, Isabella carried the bags of groceries into the kitchen. Watching her bustling around, I felt a strange sense of déjà vu. I hadn't cooked for myself in a long time. Living alone, I had no motivation to cook. Most days, I just grabbed whatever was easy. The aroma of food from the kitchen gave the house a bit of a lived-in feel. When we first got married, I used to cook often. Life was tight back then, but we were happy. But later, we started eating together less and less. The appearance of Leo had plunged our relationship into an icy stalemate. About 2 hours later, Isabella had made 3 dishes and a soup. Looking at the simple meal on the table, I had no appetite. You didn't have to make so much. It's just the two of us. We can't eat all this. It's okay. Just eat what you can. Isabella didn't seem to mind. She bustled around, serving me rice and soup, acting like a devoted wife. But I knew it was all a facade. A person who could fake love could certainly fake being a good wife. Throughout the meal, I didn't say a word. I didn't touch any of the food in my bowl, just listlessly push my rice around with my chopsticks. Isabella opened her mouth to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. The silence was deafening. After a quick meal, Isabella took the dishes into the kitchen. The once proud and aloof CEO was now wearing an apron and washing dishes. If anyone else saw this, they would be shocked. Or maybe not. I knew that this version of Isabella was nothing new to Leo. She could be so gentle with him. Cooking for him was probably just a normal part of their routine. After all, when she was at home with me, she never lifted a finger in the kitchen. Yet her cooking skills were so practiced, so fluid. I sat on the sofa, not paying attention, not stopping her. You can't wake someone who is pretending to be asleep. After cleaning the kitchen, Isabella sat down next to me, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Ethan. Before she could finish, I frowned, stood up, and walked straight into the study. A look of sorrow crossed Isabella's face. Did he not even want to be near me now? As night fell, I heard the sound of the shower running in the bathroom and couldn't help but frown. This woman, did she have no intention of leaving? I took a deep breath, stood outside the bathroom door, and said coldly, "When you're done, pack your things and leave." The sound of the water stopped for a moment, followed by a clattering noise, as if something had fallen. I ignored it, went into the bedroom, and locked the door. But it wasn't long before there was a knock on the door. Isabella's slightly dejected voice came from the other side. "Ethan, I have something to say to you. Please open the door, okay? I'm tired. I don't want to waste my breath on you." My tone was blunt. Isabella was silent for a while, and then I heard her footsteps walk away. I sighed. I shouldn't have agreed to her request. This was like inviting a wolf into my house. The next morning, Isabella was up early again, having made breakfast. I noticed that her toiletries were now in the bathroom. It seemed she was planning on staying for good. I didn't hesitate. With a dark expression, I threw her toothbrush and face wash into the trash right in front of her. Isabella didn't stop me. She just took a spare set out of her bag. This went on for a few days, and I was mentally and physically exhausted. Thankfully, on the 8th day, Chloe came to find me. We have a business trip in a few days. Get ready. A business trip? I was a little confused. I hadn't received any notice about this. But I didn't think too much of it. In fact, I was delighted. A business trip meant I could temporarily escape Isabella's harassment. With that thought, I smiled and nodded. Okay, you seem very happy about it, Chloe said with a grin. I guess so, I said without explaining. When I got home, Isabella wasn't there. I immediately started packing. Just as I was about to leave, she returned. She was carrying grocery bags from the supermarket. When she saw the suitcase in my hand, her expression froze for a second. You're running away again? What do you mean, running away? I couldn't help but sneer. This is my house. I can come go as I please. Do I need your permission? Isabella quickly explained. No, that's not what I meant. I pushed her aside. I have a business trip tomorrow. Pack your things and leave. Don't squat in my house. Isabella quickly grabbed my arm. Are you really going on a business trip? Why didn't you tell me beforehand? Why should I tell you? I shook her hand off, my eyebrows raised in a cold smile. Did you ever tell me when you went on your business trips? Ever since Leo had appeared, Isabella never told me when she was traveling for work. After all, her so-called business trips were just a cover for her rendezvous with him. Faced with my question, Isabella's face flushed, and she lost some of her confidence. Well, when will you be back? None of your business. I threw those words at her, turned, and left. I found a hotel to stay in for the night. Late that night, I got a message from Chloe. Should I pick you up at your house tomorrow? I sent her the hotel's location and turned off my phone. That night, I slept exceptionally well. The next morning, I was woken up by a call from Chloe. I'm downstairs at the hotel. Come on down. Okay, I'll be right there. After a quick wash, I went downstairs with my suitcase. The first thing I saw was Chloe and Isabella arguing at the hotel entrance. Why are you here? I walked up and looked at Isabella coldly. Her eyes were red, and her gaze towards Chloe was full of hostility. Hearing my question, she sounded resentful. So your business trip is with her? If not with her, then with you? I said irritably. We're going for work, a legitimate business trip. You think everyone is as sordid as you. Isabella's face turned pale. Chloe rolled her eyes at her and casually handed me the car keys. You drive? I don't feel like it. Okay. Watching the two of us talk and laugh, Isabella felt even worse. But until the car started and drove away, I didn't give her a single glance. What did you end up arguing with her again? I asked curiously in the car. Chloe leaned back lazily in the passenger seat and rolled her eyes. I was about to ask you the same thing. I just got here this morning and saw that woman sitting in the hotel lobby. She sat up, her eyes filled with suspicion. You didn't spend last night with her, did you? Don't be ridiculous. I shot her a look and then explained what had been happening recently. Chloe listened with wide eyes. What a devoted woman. Is that what you call devotion? I shook my head. I just find it very annoying. Chloe's lips curled into a smile. She started humming along to the radio, seeming to be in a good mood. When we got to the airport, I noticed a few other colleagues from the company and couldn't help but ask, is there a big project we're working on? This kind of entourage didn't seem like a simple business trip. Chloe shook her head mysteriously. You'll find out when we get there. I was curious, but seeing her like this, I didn't ask any more questions. I just wanted to use this trip to get away from Isabella. Besides, with a boss's daughter here, what we were doing wasn't something a mere employee like me should be worrying about. On the plane, Chloe fell into a deep sleep, as if she hadn't rested well. I quietly called the flight attendant and got a blanket to cover her with. She seemed to have something on her mind, her brows furrowed, but she was sleeping soundly. I was about to get some rest myself when I felt a slight weight on my shoulder. I turned my head and saw Chloe's head resting there. After a moment's thought, I didn't push her away. We stayed like that until the plane landed and the announcement came on. Chloe slowly woke up. You're awake? Chloe also noticed our somewhat intimate position and stuck out her tongue sheepishly. I stayed up too late last night. Working? No, playing video games. Her casual demeanor left me stunned for a moment, and then I couldn't help but smile wryly. You're really something else. After we got off the plane, our colleagues all went their separate ways. I was about to follow them, but Chloe grabbed my arm. We're not going with them. Someone will come to pick us up. I was confused, but I didn't ask any questions. But the knowing glances my colleagues gave me before they left made me feel a bit strange. A little while later, a large van pulled up in front of us. After we got in, the car drove out to the suburbs. What kind of project was being discussed in the suburbs? I joked. You're not going to sell me, are you? Chloe rolled her eyes and retorted. How much are you worth? Who will want to buy you? As a slave? She had a point. I didn't dwell on it. The car stopped in front of a row of villas. It looked more like a resort than a residential area. As soon as I got out, I was stunned by the sight. Miss, welcome. A few people dressed as butlers came over and took her suitcases. Chloe handed hers over without a second thought. I felt even more bewildered. Was this also part of her family's business? My room was arranged next to Chloe's. As I was putting away my luggage, Chloe stretched. This young lady is going to take a beauty nap. Remember to wake me up this afternoon. I nodded, took a walk around the villa, and then went back to my room to take a nap myself. I don't know if it was because I had been sleeping poorly lately, or if I was just too stressed. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. I was startled, and I sat up and checked my phone. No calls, just one unread message. It was from Chloe. You pig. I asked you to wake me up, and you ended up sleeping like a log yourself. The message was sent 3 hours ago. I immediately called her. When she picked up, I apologized right away. I'm sorry, I overslept. You think? Chloe's voice had a hint of a pout. You pig. I called for you several times. I smiled wryly and changed the subject. Did I hold up any work? Oh, forget about work. Hurry up and come downstairs for dinner. The more she acted like this, the stranger I felt. It seemed less like I was here for work and more like I was on vacation with her. When I got downstairs, I noticed that the colleagues who had left earlier were also at the dining table. It seemed like everyone was waiting for me. I apologized awkwardly. Sorry, everyone, for keeping you waiting. A male colleague quickly waved his hand. No, we were just afraid of disturbing Mr. Sterling's rest. Chloe impatiently tapped the table. Let's eat. Then, she picked up a piece of pork rib and placed it in my bowl. Here, try this. It's a new recipe I learned. I had just sat down, and her sudden action nearly made me jump out of my chair. My colleagues around us immediately and tacitly lowered their heads to focus on their food. The more they acted this way, the more awkward I felt. But seeing the expectant sparkle in Chloe's eyes, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I braced myself and put the pork rib in my mouth. Well, how is it? She asked eagerly, like a child waiting for praise. Is it good? Is it? Her complete lack of self-consciousness made my skin crawl. I could only manage an awkward it's. Okay, a little salty. In reality, that bite felt less like pork and more like a spoonful of pure salt. I started to wonder if salt was free for rich people. If you like it, have some more. Chloe placed several more ribs in my bowl. I fell silent, wishing I could smack myself. I felt like I was going to die during that meal. Thankfully, after trying a rib herself, Chloe stopped putting them in my bowl and quietly pulled the plate closer to her. But that dinner had thoroughly cemented the misunderstanding about our relationship in the minds of my colleagues. After the meal, one of them came up to me, smiling. Mr. Sterling, did you enjoy the food? I was chugging water at the time. Hearing his question, my face turned green. I forced a smile that looked more like a grimace. It was very nice. My expression seemed to startle him. What's wrong, Mr. Sterling? Are you not feeling well? No, just a little thirsty. I just wanted to get rid of him. The taste of salt was still lingering in my mouth. Just then, Chloe walked over with a bottle of water. Here, drink up. I nodded awkwardly. Thanks. Honestly, if you don't like it, you should just say so. You made me think you enjoyed it. Chloe completely ignored the winking and nudging colleague beside her and took my arm. Come on, let's go for a walk. I haven't seen the view here at night yet. I was about to refuse when my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID, frowned, and hung up. But the person was persistent, calling again a second later. I hung up again, and they called back. It seemed they wouldn't stop until I answered. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, Chloe leaned in. Who is it? Before I could answer, she had already taken the phone from my hand. Hello, who is this? On the other end of the line, hearing Chloe's voice, Isabella's expression twisted into a snarl. She practically shrieked. You bitch, why do you have Ethan's phone? Chloe held the phone away from her ear with a look of disgust. When Isabella finished her tirade, she said impatiently, You are so annoying. We're in the middle of something important. We don't have time for you. Something important? What's something important? What could a man and a woman be doing alone at this hour? Isabella's mind flooded with 1,000 sordid images. Each one made her skin crawl. Ethan and this woman were definitely up to something. Bitch, if you dare to make a move on my husband, I swear I'll make you pay. Chloe was unfazed. Sorry, ex-wife, but you're about to not be his wife anymore. Whether I make a move on him or not is none of your business. It's cheating trash like you has no right to point fingers at me. Now hang up. Just hearing your voice is annoying. With that, Chloe hung up, then quickly turned off the phone, giving Isabella no chance to retaliate. Here, your phone. Seeing her look of satisfaction, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you that happy? Of course I am. Chloe huffed. You're just too soft. With a woman like that, you shouldn't give her an inch. I didn't respond. After a long silence, I finally said softly, thank you. I was truly grateful to Chloe. We were, for all intents and purposes, strangers, yet she had repeatedly stepped in to shield me from trouble. Whatever her motives, I had to thank her. Chloe shook her head silently, seemingly lost in thought. We walked in silence through the villa's garden. After some time, I heard Chloe whisper, if I had known, I would have pursued you back then. What did you say? I didn't quite catch it. Nothing. Chloe waved her hand dismissively and changed the subject. So, you were dating that woman back in college? Yeah, I nodded. I didn't really want to talk about my past with Isabella. But Chloe seemed very interested, constantly asking questions as we walked. Suddenly, Chloe stopped in front of me, her eyes shining. You know, I actually went to the same university as you. I was surprised. Really? Chloe didn't answer, instead launching into stories about her time at the university. At first, I listened with interest. But then, the more I heard, the more something fell off. You were in the same department as Isabella. Chloe fell silent. After a long time, she finally said, you know, Evan. No, I should call you Ethan. I really regret it. I really like you, but because you were so in love with Isabella, I got angry and decided to study abroad. When I came back, I heard you were already married. I thought we would never have a chance to meet again. Until one day, my dad mentioned you. I found out that you had been living such a constrained and unhappy life all these years that you couldn't even focus on your own future. Chloe looked at me earnestly. I was the one who asked my dad to transfer you here. You have no idea how happy and how heartbroken I was when I found out you were getting a divorce. Her face was a mixture of grievance and bitterness. I was stunned. I felt like my brain had short-circuited. Chloe's sudden confession made the world feel a little surreal. Chloe, are you running a fever? I even reached out and touched her forehead. What are you doing? Chloe pouted and pushed my hand away. I'm not sick and I'm not drunk. I like you. I've always liked you. She had missed her chance once, years ago. This time, she didn't want to miss it again. Especially with Isabella's relentless harassment, Chloe felt a deep sense of crisis. She knew how much I had loved Isabella back then. She wasn't sure if Isabella and I would get back together. That's why she had suggested the business trip, to get me away from Isabella. Men may be rational, but when it comes to the person they love, they can become incredibly emotional. I might have softened due to Isabella's persistence. She selfishly hoped that I would divorce Isabella. Faced with my bewildered expression, Chloe took a deep breath. Ethan, I really like you. Please give me a chance, okay? Her humble tone made my heart ache. I was torn. I didn't know what to say. After a long silence, Chloe suddenly and casually patted my shoulder. Let's not talk about this. Come on, let's go for a walk. I breathed a sigh of relief and quickly followed her. For the next few days, Chloe took me around the resort, never mentioning work. This lifestyle was comfortable, but it made me feel vaguely uneasy. But when I brought up my concerns, Chloe just shrugged. We're experiencing life. This is part of the job. This counts as work. Seeing my confused expression, Chloe explained, this resort is our next investment project. We're not on vacation. We're experiencing it as guests. Seeing how serious she was, I nodded, half convinced. All right, if you say so. A mischievous glint flashed in Chloe's eyes. Then for the next few days, please don't be so distracted. Our feedback is crucial to whether this project goes forward. I suddenly felt a great sense of responsibility. Don't worry, I'll give it my full attention. The days without work passed quickly. Before I knew it, we had been at the resort for over 2 weeks. I even felt like my professional skills had declined, that my mind had grown a bit sluggish from the long period of idleness. So, shouldn't we be heading back? I hadn't forgotten my identity. A working man. Chloe, chewing on a piece of steak, looked up. What's wrong? You don't like it here? Of course not. I shook my head. It's just, I feel like we've been here too long. I'm starting to feel lazy. I was used to a busy life. Chloe gave me a strange look, speared a piece of steak, and said, her words muffled, you'll have plenty of days like this in the future. I didn't hear her clearly. What did you say? Nothing. Chloe shook her head and put a piece of steak on my plate. Ever since she had confessed her feelings, she had become more and more bold. Anyone who didn't know us would think we were a couple. I tried to get her to tone it down, but she didn't care. I was a normal man. Faced with the advances of a beautiful, lively woman like Chloe, I couldn't completely ignore them. When we finally returned, the moment the plane landed, I got a call from the big boss. Evan, you've worked hard. Take a few days off to rest. We'll talk about the project after your break. To be honest, I felt a bit guilty talking to him. After all, his daughter and I had practically become a couple during this time. When I got home, I saw the closed front door and breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Isabella had finally left. But as I opened the door, I saw Isabella sitting on the sofa in an apron, engrossed in the TV. The moment she saw me, she jumped up excitedly. You're back. My good mood instantly evaporated. What are you still doing here? Isabella looked hurt. I was waiting for you. You weren't answering my calls. I thought you weren't coming back. Whether I come back or not has nothing to do with you, does it? I felt no pity. For years, I was the one waiting at home for her. Now, she was just getting a taste of her own medicine. It's been over a month. When are we getting divorced? Isabella's face fell. Do you really want a divorce that badly? Ethan, we've been together for so many years. Can you really be so heartless? I just want a chance to love you again. I promise. I won't have anything to do with anyone else, okay? I had expected her to not give up easily, but hearing her say this again just made me more frustrated. Her repeated attempts at reconciliation only made me feel sick. Don't waste your time. I've told you it's over between us. No matter what you say, I won't change my mind. Just give up. Isabella looked unwilling. But why? There is no why. My voice was calm. After all these years, you should know me better than that. I had tolerated it for years. I had truly thought about spending the rest of my life with her. That's why I had chosen to forgive her time and time again. That's why I had endured hurt after hurt. But after 4 years, I had finally understood. Isabella was not someone I could spend my life with. The old Isabella might have wanted a home, but once she had it, she started craving other things. Despair filled Isabella's eyes. She had always thought she knew me so well. That's why she believed that if she just humbled herself, I would forgive her. That's why she had been so reckless all these years, never considering my feelings. But my words made her realize that I truly didn't love her anymore. My insistence on divorce was as firm as my determination to marry her back then. I wouldn't regret it, and I wouldn't change my mind. I'm sorry, Ethan. Isabella cried, tears streaming down her face. But it was too late. Our relationship had reached its end. My face was impassive. The words I'm sorry felt so cheap now. Isabella finally agreed to the divorce. I immediately requested time off from work. Chloe, who had somehow heard the news, came to me before I left. Can I go with you? I shook my head. No, I'll be back soon. Chloe looked into my eyes for a long moment, then finally nodded. Okay. On the flight back, my emotions were in turmoil. It wasn't regret, but a sense of relief, of finally being able to shed the heavy burden of this marriage. At the county courthouse, watching the final seal being stamped on the papers, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, as if I had thrown off a heavy chain. Outside the courthouse, Isabella held the divorce decree, looking dazed, as if she couldn't quite believe it was real. Do you want to get one last meal together? I shook my head. No. And in the future, please don't contact me again. After the divorce, I threw myself into my work. I could accept my failure in love, but I wouldn't let it make me give up on my career. Perhaps that was one of the reasons Isabella had cheated. After her career took off, her personality had changed. She liked to be in control of everything and everyone. So when the ever-compliant Leo appeared, she had immediately betrayed me. When I got back to the office, Chloe was overjoyed to see me. She immediately organized a celebration with all the department heads. A colleague was confused. Chloe put her hands on her hips proudly. I'm in a good mood, so I want to celebrate. Is there a problem with that? She knew she shouldn't be so obvious. But I was divorced, and she couldn't contain her happiness. My colleagues immediately understood. Looks like we're benefiting from Mr. Sterling's good fortune. The rumors about Chloe and me had long since spread throughout the office, with various versions, each more dramatic than the last. Everyone started teasing us. I quickly tried to explain. No, it's because the previous project has made good progress, so it's worth celebrating. Right, Chloe? Chloe stuck out her tongue. Whatever you say. I'm just your little assistant. I don't have a say. Her words seemed innocent enough, but to our colleagues, it sounded like a dutiful wife agreeing with her husband. The teasing grew louder. I felt a headache coming on. Was this girl always so bold? Thankfully, the topic didn't last long. At the dinner party, everyone seemed to have coordinated beforehand, taking turns to toast me. Considering they were all my seniors, I couldn't refuse. Soon, I started to feel dizzy. Chloe sat beside me, smiling but saying nothing. By the time the dinner ended, I was swaying on my feet. Chloe supported me, and I didn't notice the look of conflict and hesitation in her eyes. "Evan, you're drunk," she said, while signaling to the others to leave. I didn't speak, just stared at her face. Chloe's breathing quickened, and she quickly looked away. She helped me into the car. Just as she was about to get up, I grabbed her arm. She lost her balance and fell on top of me. Our lips brushed against each other. It was just a brief touch, but it was enough. Chloe froze, then quickly and awkwardly sat up. Her cheeks were flushed. She looked at me, drowsy in the back seat, and bit her lip. She took me back to her place. The next morning, I opened my eyes and stared at the ceiling. After a long moment, I finally came to my senses and sat up, my head throbbing. My head was still fuzzy from the hangover. I rubbed my temples, and as I was about to look around, my fingers touched something soft. I turned my head and froze. Beside me, Chloe was lying naked under the covers, tear tracks on her cheeks. I shot up as if I had been electrocuted, only then realizing that I was also completely naked. What had happened was obvious. Chloe had actually been awake for a while, secretly watching my reaction. Seeing my nervous expression, she couldn't help but smile to herself. She slowly opened her eyes, pretending to have just woken up. "Evan, you're awake?" My expression was complicated. Last night. I wanted to." Chloe cut me off, her cheeks blushing. "I took off my own clothes last night, and I wanted to have sex with you." Even though I knew what had happened, hearing her say it out loud still made my heart ache with a strange bitterness. "I'm sorry. I was drunk last night." "It's okay." Chloe's voice was soft. "I told you it was all my choice." Chloe looked up, our eyes meeting. She spoke earnestly, her voice filled with a shy determination. "I really like you. So, when you were on top of me, I didn't want to resist. I wanted to give you all of me." My eyes widened. I couldn't remember anything from last night, but the fact was we were lying in bed together, naked. That was undeniable. I believed I could resist temptation when I was sober, but I didn't trust my body not to react when provoked. Seeing my silence, Chloe asked cautiously, Are you angry?" "Angry?" I shook my head. "No, I just feel like I've wronged you." "It's okay. I don't feel wronged." Chloe got up and got dressed. "You wait here. I'll go make some soup to help with the hangover." "You don't have to," I started to say, but I didn't see the stool by the bed. I lost my balance and fell forward. Chloe screamed and lunged to catch me. Oof! We both fell in a heap. I quickly got up, but Chloe lay on the floor, her face pale, her teeth clenched. Are you okay?" I rushed to help her up, but the moment I touched her, she let out a pained groan. I didn't waste any time. I immediately called for an ambulance. In the ambulance, Chloe was surprisingly cheerful. "Come on, being accidentally taken out by my own boss? It's an honor." But I couldn't smile. I could only gently hold her hand. At the hospital, I saw a familiar figure. Leo. He was standing at the hospital entrance, on his phone, seemingly shouting at someone. "What do you mean?" "I know, I shouldn't have gone through your things, but why did you schedule an abortion? Are you really going to do this to me, Isabella?" Hearing him say her name, I instantly understood. It seemed he and Isabella had had a falling out. I didn't pay him any mind, pretending not to see him as I prepared to follow the paramedics inside. But Leo saw me. "Ethan Shaw," he yelled, striding over. "Stop right there." I frowned and turned, my voice flat. "What do you want?" Leo gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with anger and hostility. "You've already divorced Isabella, so why are you still harassing her?" I raised an eyebrow. I couldn't understand how the other man had the audacity to be so arrogant in front of the ex-husband. Had the world gone mad? I don't have time to harass her. I didn't want to waste my breath, but Leo was relentless. "If it wasn't for you, why would she get rid of our baby? That was the symbol of our love. Because of you, it doesn't even have a chance to be born," he roared, pointing an accusing finger at me, as if I were the one who had destroyed their marriage. The passers-by started shooting me disapproving looks. I didn't want to get involved, but since he was determined to make a scene, I wasn't going to just stand there and take it. "Leo, when you first got with Isabella, didn't you know she had a husband? Even if you didn't know then, you've known for the past 4 years, haven't you? But not only did you not break up with her, you enjoyed it, and you even got her pregnant. What right do you have to question me, the original husband? What? You got my ex-wife pregnant with your child, and now suddenly it's my fault." Now, it was Leo's turn to be scorned by the crowd. His face paled, and he gasped for air as he tried to argue. "That's bullshit. Isabella and I are in love. You're the third wheel, because you're not the one she loves." His outrageous statement didn't even need a rebuttal from me. The onlookers were already disgusted. Young people these days have no shame, wrecking a family and acting like he's the victim. Exactly. What true love? Is destroying someone's marriage true love? What a disgrace to men. It's scum like this that's ruining society. Leo's face was ashen. He couldn't even form a coherent response. I didn't react. I had never intended to judge him from a moral high ground. It was Isabella who had been unfaithful. A beautiful, wealthy woman like her could have any young man like Leo wrapped around her finger. So, in a way, Leo was a victim too. I didn't want to cause him trouble. He had brought this on himself. As the crowd grew, I decided to leave, but Leo still wouldn't let me go. This is all your fault. Otherwise, I wouldn't be the other man. I just showed up a little later than you did. I almost laughed out loud. His logic was so shameless that I couldn't even think of a comeback. As I started to walk away, Leo, like a madman, lunged and grabbed my arm. Don't go. You go and tell Isabella to marry me, not to get rid of our baby. Otherwise, I'll never leave you alone. I frowned, trying to shake him off, but he held on tight. My face hardened. My patience is limited. Let go. Never. Leo's face was contorted with rage. You call Isabella right now, or we'll stay here all day. I think you've lost your mind. I snapped and kicked him hard in the stomach. As he doubled over in pain, I warned him coldly, don't mess with me again. Next time, I'll call the police. Do you think Isabella will want a man with a criminal record? I wasn't bluffing. Given Isabella's status, she would never accept a partner with a prison record. Leo froze. He stood there, gritting his teeth. After a long moment, he looked up, his eyes filled with desperation. For the sake of the baby, just help me this once. I promise I'll never bother you again. I turned and walked away without a word. The crowd, seeing the show was over, muttered a few more insults and dispersed. Leo stood there, lost and helpless. More than losing his child, he was terrified of losing his source of income, Isabella. It's easy to go from rags to riches, but hard to go back. He couldn't accept returning to a normal life after getting used to luxury. Meanwhile, the private investigator Isabella had hired found the phone I had thrown away. She had always suspected Leo was up to something, but she had no proof. She took the phone, charged it, and turned it on. After a few moments, the notification bar filled with missed calls. Almost all of them were from her. But what made her breath catch was an unread message. The sender was Leo. A sense of dread washed over Isabella. She took a deep breath and opened the message. The moment she read it, she froze. She had warned Leo not to involve me, but he had agreed to her face while going behind her back. His messages were full of sarcasm and malice, a complete departure from his usual persona. The unread message had been sent a while ago, not long after we had separated. Ethan Shaw, Isabella is back with you. I did you a favor. Don't thank me. He had twisted the truth, but I had never seen the message. Isabella checked the message history. The more she read, the colder she felt. In front of her, Leo had always been obedient and sweet. Even his occasional jealousy seemed to be out of love for her. No woman could resist that kind of flattery. But she never imagined that while he was promising to behave, he was secretly taking intimate photos of them and sending them to me to provoke me. Not just photos of her sleeping, but even explicit pictures and videos from their encounters in the car. Isabella felt overwhelmed. She continued to scroll through the messages. Ethan Shaw, being considerate isn't enough. A man needs to be capable. Look at you, always nagging like a woman. What woman would like that? Look, this is the ring Isabella gave me. I hear you have one too, but it doesn't matter. Her heart is only with me. If I were you, I would have left a long time ago. You're just wasting time now to get more money out of the divorce, right? The messages were filled with provocation and insults. Ethan had never replied. Most of the messages were unread. But Isabella could still imagine how he must have felt when he saw the ones he did read. The thought of it made her tremble with rage. Her hand, clutching the phone, turned white at the knuckles. She left her office without a word and, on the way, called Leo. Get to my house. Now. Leo was overjoyed. Really? Isabella, have you changed your mind? Although he didn't know what had happened, the thought of getting another chance made him giddy with excitement. Isabella suppressed her rage and said coldly, just do as I say. Her anger had reached its limit. She hated herself for being so foolish, for being deceived by a man like this for so long. She didn't know whether to praise Leo for his acting or curse herself for being so lost in his sweet talk. Leo didn't notice the change in her tone and said happily, okay, I'll be right over. It's your birthday. We can celebrate. Before he could finish, Isabella hung up in disgust. Leo rushed over to the villa. When Isabella walked in, the first thing she saw was Leo bossing the household staff around. Take down that wedding photo too. This place has a new master. You'd all better cooperate. Not just the wedding photo, but all the pictures of me and her were being packed up under his direction. The evidence of our love was such an eyesore to the third party. She stood there coldly, watching. Leo, oblivious, continued to play the part of the master of the house. Hurry up. If you dare to slack off, don't blame me for having Isabella fire you all. A maid muttered under her breath, Ms. Vance never said to do any of this. And she and Mr. Shaw aren't even divorced. When did it become your place to... What did you say? Leo raised his voice. Ethan Shaw? He's just a loser. From today on, I'm the master of this house. If you say another word, I'll deal with you. He picked up a crystal globe from the table and smashed it on the floor, muttering, what a piece of junk. The junk he was referring to was a birthday present I had given Isabella. Isabella could no longer remain calm. She strode forward and snapped, Stop what you're doing. Put everything back where it was. Hearing her, the staff, without a moment's hesitation, put everything back, completely ignoring Leo's furious expression. Once everything was restored, the staff discreetly left. In the room, Isabella and Leo stood face to face. Leo knew he had been too hasty. He rushed down the stairs, took Isabella's hand, and tried to comfort her. Isabella, I know you're upset right now, but Ethan left on his own. You can't blame yourself. He thought he had everything under control, that Isabella was still in the dark. He was trying to bluff his way through. But to his surprise, Isabella coldly shook his hand off. Who gave you permission to say his name? Leo was taken aback, then put on a hurt expression. Okay, I know I'm not worthy. I won't mention it again. Today is the day we get back together. Let's just... Before he could finish, Isabella, with a look of utter disgust, pushed him to the ground. As if touching something filthy, she wiped her hand. Leo sat on the floor, confused and bewildered. But when he saw the dark expression on Isabella's face, his heart sank. This was the first time Isabella had ever treated him so badly. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't understand what. He had always acted this way in front of her. Was it because he had moved her things? If Ethan had been the one to file for divorce, it was normal for her to be in a bad mood. After all, Isabella had always been proud. She would never allow someone to discard her. Thinking this, Leo relaxed a little. He got up, took Isabella's hand, his voice filled with a pitiful tone. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have touched your things. I was just trying to help you organize. It's okay. Let's not be angry anymore. Let me take good care of you. As he spoke, he lowered his head to kiss her neck, his right hand slowly slipping into her collar. This move had never failed him before, but Isabella was clearly not in the mood. She coldly pushed him away, straightened her collar, and wiped the spot he had kissed with a wet wipe, her disgust palpable. Leo was embarrassed and angry. He gritted his teeth and asked, What is this? I came here happily to get back together with you. You, don't forget, you're the one who called me here. She called him here, but then wouldn't let him touch her. Was she just playing with him? But the next second, he heard Isabella's cold voice. You damn scum. You make me sick. I make you sick. Leo gritted his teeth. Fine, then I'll leave. He turned to go. He had assumed that with Ethan gone, he was the master of the house. But he never expected Isabella to act so crazy. You want to leave? Isabella grabbed his arm. Not until you've explained everything. Leo froze. He finally realized something was wrong. He begged, Did Ethan say something to you? I can explain. He cursed inwardly. He never thought that loser Ethan would have the courage to go to Isabella and complain. He should have just crawled away quietly. Leo was panicking, silently cursing Ethan, but on the surface, he maintained a look of innocence, trying to bluff his way through. But when he met Isabella's icy gaze, all his prepared excuses died in his throat. It was the look of someone staring at a dead man. Do you remember what I warned you about? I remember. Leo nodded. You said Ethan was the one you loved most, that we were just using each other, and that I was not allowed to go near him. But I swear, I never went to him and caused trouble. Even now, he was still trying to lie. Isabella said coldly, You swear you didn't harass him, that you didn't send him any harassing messages? If you did, may you be poor for the rest of your life. How about that? Leo hesitated. The whole reason he was doing all this was for wealth and fame. But thinking about it, it was just an oath. If oaths worked, countless people would be struck by lightning on Valentine's Day. Leo steeled himself and raised his hand. If I really did those things, may I be poor for the rest of my life. After speaking, he gasped for air as if he had lost all his strength. Isabella sneered. It's just an oath. Is it really that hard? With this kind of nerve, you still think you can fool me? It seems I was truly foolish to be deceived by you for so long. Her voice grew louder until she was screaming at him. Leo's face turned pale. It was over. Isabella was being so direct. She must have proof. Leo knew that further explanations were pointless. He dropped to his knees and hugged Isabella's legs, wailing, Isabella, please forgive me this once. I only did it because I love you too much. Love me? As if hearing a joke, Isabella scoffed. Do you love me or my money? You know the answer to that. She no longer believed his lies, nor did she want to get entangled with him. She took out her phone and shoved the screen in his face. You sent this, didn't you? Are you still going to deny it? Leo was stunned. His first instinct was to grab the phone and destroy the evidence. But Isabella was prepared for him and easily dodged. I. Leo's face was pale. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't form a complete sentence. The videos, the photos, the insults, he had sent them all. Even though he had deleted his own records, he couldn't delete Ethan's. Leo was filled with regret. He should have known this would happen. Seeing Isabella's expression grow darker, he tried his emotional appeal again. I really know I was wrong. Isabella, please forgive me. In the future, I'll never do it again. I'll be a good husband. Please give me a chance. He had thought of everything, except for the one thing he had never considered, that Isabella truly loved Ethan. Shut up. My husband will only ever be Ethan. A shameless scoundrel like you is not even worthy of saying such things to me. Get out. Leo was desperate. No, you can't do this to me, even if I haven't earned any credit with you. I've put in the effort. But Isabella was resolute. She called the villa's security. When they arrived, she pointed at Leo. Get this person out of here. And in the future, he is not allowed on this property. Isabella. Leo panicked. He tried to rush towards her, but the security guards quickly subdued him and dragged him out. His screams faded into the distance. But Leo was not willing to give up. He clung to the iron gate, wailing, and soon attracted a crowd of onlookers. Is that guy mentally unstable? I heard from one of the maids that he's a homewrecker. Looks like he got kicked out. It's so young. He has hands and feet. He could do anything. Why be a kept man? The insults reached Leo's ears. He was ashamed and angry, wishing the ground would swallow him whole. But this was his only hope. He couldn't leave. He cried and shouted, but the staff inside were just watching the show, ignoring him. He screamed until his voice was hoarse, but Isabella never appeared. An onlooker couldn't stand it anymore and tried to reason with him. You should just go home. You're a grown man. Have some dignity. Leo was furious. Mind your own business. I'm warning you. I'm going to be the master of this house. If you offend me, I'll skin you alive. Hearing this, the onlookers gave him even stranger looks. Some even thought he was crazy. The man who had been told off didn't hold back. You, the master of the house? You're an idiot. Leo cursed and spat at the crowd. The man couldn't take it anymore. He walked up and kicked Leo to the ground, then grabbed his hair and slapped him twice. I hate guys like you who seduce other men's wives. Leo covered his face and cried out, You dare to hit me? He tried to fight back, but he was just a pampered boy toy. He was no match for the other man. Soon he was pinned to the ground, screaming in pain. The man wouldn't stop until a woman next to him said, Don't draw blood. Who knows what kind of diseases a guy like that has? Only then did the man stop. He kicked him one last time and walked away, cursing. A little while later, a group of reporters with cameras appeared and started taking pictures. That night, Isabella received a call from a senior executive at her company. The moment she answered, she was met with a barrage of questions. What the hell is going on? Have you seen the news? Isabella was unfazed. Don't bother me. Bother you. You caused a huge scene, and now it's all over the internet. Do you have any idea how this is affecting the company's stock price? The shareholder was furious. Only then did Isabella realize that things had gotten out of control. Leo's tirade at the gate had been filmed by reporters and posted online. Her company had become the laughingstock of the industry. Their business partners were all threatening to pull their investments. After the call, Isabella said nothing. She just had her bodyguards find Leo and bring him back. Late that night, Leo was dragged before her. He looked rough, but when he saw Isabella, he still held on to a last shred of hope. Are you regretting it, Isabella? Give me a chance, I can go and clarify. Isabella didn't speak. She just stood up and walked towards him. A flicker of joy crossed Leo's eyes. But before he could say more, Isabella looked down at him and said, I've thought about it. Just letting you go would be too easy. You made me lose the person I love most. You have to pay the price for that. She turned to her bodyguards. He wants to be famous so badly. Send him to Thailand. For surgery. As Leo stared in horror, Isabella smiled cruelly. You like to make a living with your body, don't you? From now on, you can do that for the rest of your life. Leo was dealt with. He never appeared in public again. When I returned to the hospital, Chloe had already been moved to her room. Seeing my troubled expression, she asked with concern, What's wrong? I forced a smile and said it was nothing, that I was just worried about her. Then I picked up the container of food I just bought. After all this, Chloe hadn't had a bite to eat. Do you want me to feed you? Well, yeah. Chloe raised her casted arm. You have to take responsibility. I shrugged, not refusing. But the situation felt awkward, especially when Chloe playfully bit down on the chopsticks and wouldn't let go. If you keep doing that, I'm not feeding you. I put on a serious face. Chloe quickly let go. I'm sorry. I just didn't want you to feel so awkward. My hand paused. A wave of guilt washed over me. After all, Chloe was injured because of me, and here I was being so hesitant about just feeding her. I was pathetic. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I composed myself and brought the food to her lips. But she didn't move, just stared at me. Do you not like me? Chloe's eyes reddened. The usually cheerful girl looked so hurt for the first time. I didn't know what to say, but I knew that saying anything hurtful now would be a scumbag move. Seeing my hesitation, a flicker of disappointment crossed Chloe's eyes. But she quickly put on a smile. It's okay. Liking you is my own business. I shouldn't put pressure on you. Her bright smile somehow made my heart ache, and my hand trembled slightly. I had to change the subject. Hurry up and eat before it gets cold. Chloe nodded obediently, but in her mind, she was already plotting how to win over this stubborn man. According to the doctor, Chloe needed to stay in the hospital for observation for a while. I naturally became her caregiver, but where I would sleep was a problem. The hospital room had a cot for visitors, but I was too tall to fit comfortably. Chloe saw this and felt bad. Why don't you sleep here, and I'll take the cot? I immediately refused. A patient sleeping on the cot while the caregiver took the bed? That was just wrong. But you can't be so uncomfortable every night. It's bad for your back. Chloe bit her lip. Why don't you just go home? I'll be fine on my own. You can just come back during the day. I refused again. I can't leave you alone in the hospital. Then, Chloe scooted over to the side of the bed. You can sleep with me? Her cheeks flushed, which, combined with her current slightly frail appearance, was practically an invitation to sin. But her eyes were serious. She wasn't joking. I don't think that's a good idea. Chloe pouted. Well, you have a choice. Either go home or sleep with me. I'll just take the cot. No. I was at a loss. After a long moment, I finally nodded. The hospital bed was much wider than the cot, but it still wasn't big enough for two people. The moment I got in, we were practically pressed against each other. I subconsciously tried to move away. Chloe giggled. If you move any further, you'll fall off. My back stiffened. I cleared my throat. It's fine. This bed is pretty big, but I didn't sound very convincing since half of my body was hanging off the edge. Just then, Chloe suddenly pulled my arm with her good hand. Just come over here. It's not like we haven't slept together before. Her voice was teasing, and I could feel my heart start to race. But I was worried about hurting her hand, so I complied and moved closer. The lights went out. In the darkness, all we could hear was each other's breathing. Chloe suddenly took my hand and placed it under her head like a pillow. Good night, she said, sounding content. I lay there, stiff as a board, not daring to move for fear of hurting her. But in the middle of the night, I finally succumbed to exhaustion and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, I felt a tickle on my nose. I swatted at it and tried to ignore it, but the feeling came back, accompanied by a soft giggle. I opened my eyes and saw Chloe standing over me, tickling my nose with the ends of her hair. When she saw I was awake, she quickly dropped her hair, looking a little guilty. Cursing myself for sleeping so soundly, I sat up and apologized. I'm sorry. It's okay. Why are you apologizing? Chloe smiled and shook her head. I should be thanking you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have slept so well. My face flushed. I cleared my throat and didn't answer. My reaction, of course, just made her laugh. I fled downstairs and bought breakfast before returning. The time in the hospital passed quickly. We didn't talk much, except for some small talk during meals. Most of the time, Chloe was on her phone playing games. I had to admire her dedication. Playing games with one hand. That was some serious commitment. That night, Chloe brought up a difficult question. I want to take a shower. I was stunned. Her hand was in a cast. She couldn't possibly shower by herself. But I couldn't just help her, could I? But Chloe, as if on purpose, blinked her eyes innocently. Can you help me? I almost refused immediately. This wasn't like helping her eat or change her clothes. This was a shower. A naked shower. Seeing my silence, Chloe urged me on. Oh, come on. It's not like you haven't seen it before. My face turned red, but in the end I agreed. In the bathroom, I was at a complete loss. But this was my mess, so I had to clean it up. Help me take off my clothes, Chloe said. I took a deep breath and unbuttoned her hospital gown. I had to admit, Chloe was very well developed. The valley between her breasts was deep, and her waist was slender, without a single ounce of fat. I could feel my body start to heat up. To avoid any trouble, I quickly looked away. Seeing my reaction, a mischievous glint appeared in Chloe's eyes. Finally, when it was time to take off her bra, Chloe herself started to get shy. I can do this part myself. You can wait outside. I breathed a sigh of relief and practically fled the bathroom. Listening to the sound of the water running, I clutched my chest, my heart pounding. I cursed myself for being so useless. She was being so casual about it. What was I so flustered about? But it wasn't long before Chloe's voice came from the bathroom. I accidentally got my gown wet. Can you give me a new one? At first, I didn't think anything of it. But when I was standing at the bathroom door with the new gown, I was at a loss. How was I supposed to give it to her? I'll just leave it by the door. The bathroom door opened a crack, and a slender, white arm, steaming from the heat, reached out. Give it to me. I walked over. Even though I tried my best to look away, for a split second, I caught a glimpse of the pale skin inside. Are you going to give it to me or not? Have you seen enough? Chloe's teasing voice brought me back to my senses. I quickly handed her the clothes. A little while later, Chloe came out, wearing the gown loosely, revealing the expanse of her chest. Can you help me with the buttons? I stepped forward and carefully buttoned her gown, trying not to touch her. Seeing how nervous I was, Chloe couldn't help but tease me. Come on, Evan. You're a grown man. Are you really this shy? I got even more flustered and shot her a glare. This has nothing to do with age. Oh, so you're mad because you got a free show? Chloe's smile widened. This made me even more annoyed. I retorted, you can look but you can't touch. Of course I'm mad. Chloe's face turned red, but she puffed out her chest and said, then touch. Of course I wouldn't actually do it. But Chloe took a step forward. Caught off guard, the back of my hand brushed against that astonishing softness. I snatched my hand back as if I had been electrocuted. Disappointment flickered in Chloe's eyes. Evan, you're divorced now? Are you still not willing to consider me? But I just got divorced. I started to explain, but Chloe suddenly stepped forward, stood on her toes, and kissed me hard on the lips. My first instinct was to push her away, but I was afraid of hurting her, so I just stood there stunned. Chloe's lips were cool and soft. She kissed me with passion, murmuring, Evan, don't push me away again. I don't want to miss my chance again. My mind was a mess. The intimate atmosphere was clouding my judgment. So when Chloe asked, will you be my man? I found myself nodding without thinking. When I came to my senses, I felt a mix of excitement and relief. Good. A failed marriage hadn't destroyed my ability to love. Chloe was ecstatic, her joy radiating from her face. Until it was time to sleep, she kept asking me for confirmation. You're serious, right? You're not going to be gone when I wake up, are you? When she playfully threatened to tie us together, I gently stroked her head. Come on, I'm about to land myself a rich girlfriend. I'm too happy to run away. Chloe smiled. Evan, I love you. I love you too. After she was discharged from the hospital, Chloe and I got married. At the wedding, I saw Isabella sitting in a corner. She raised her glass to me. I gave her a slight nod. The past is in the past. There's no need to dwell on it. The end.